Hello, everybody, and welcome to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. We are live from Monarchs Stadium for this matchup between LA Harbor and Los Angeles Valley College. The Monarchs take on the Seahawks at Monarch Field. We have kickoff, and we're just underway. LA Valley heading from the green. The Monarchs will be set to return. Jelani Ellison returns it back to the 41-yard line on the Monarch 41. They'll be heading from left to right. Today, this evening, they are in their green uniforms, black pants, gold helmets. And this will be the first look we get to see of the offense for the evening. A relatively warm day today in Southern California. Temperatures reached as high as 92 degrees. We're about an hour away from sunset. 6:04 is the time. 14:52 is the time remaining in the first period after that kickoff return. And we're going to get the first look of Isaiah Johnson, wearing number 12, playing quarterback for the first time this season. He's going to take the direct snap, run to the right side. It's a power run play for the quarterback. But right on the first play, he loses the ball, hits the ground. And the referees are trying to sort out who came up with the ball. The Monarchs have been plagued with injuries at the quarterback position. If this is your first game tuning in, as I mentioned, Isaiah Johnson played linebacker for the first 3 games this season, wearing number 32. He actually was tied for the team lead with 18 tackles on the season, 2.5 tackles for loss. The sophomore out of Crenshaw High School, playing quarterback because there's been 3 injuries. Zachary Chevalier was the starting quarterback to open up the season. And during the first game, he was knocked out for a few plays as Johnson drops back. 3 receivers over to the left. He's going to roll left. Looks to dump it off to his running back, and there's a big hit laid by the defender in coverage. That was Charles O'Neill who laid the hit. Intended receiver was Shane Bennett, sophomore running back from Birmingham High School here in Pacoima. And now Johnson's taking over the place of, well, it was then Chevalier. And after Chevalier got knocked out in the first game versus Mount Sac, Ezekiel Savage III got some playing time. Excuse me, the second, Ezekiel Savage II, but he suffered a season-ending injury to his lower leg. Now it's 3rd and 13. Johnson has 2 receivers flexed out both sides. Steps up in the pocket, looks to dump it off to his running back. No room for the quarterback to operate. That was Dallas Martin over on the flats on the right side. That'll bring out the punting unit. Punter is William Kalanji on the season. He's taken over punting duties for Ezekiel Savage, as I mentioned, serving as the backup quarterback and the starting punter. Once he went down, they turned to third-string quarterback Wesley Shamanga. And Wesley Shamanga was injured in their last game versus College of the Desert. So it's been an injury-riddled season. Kalanji's punt off the left side of his foot, and it bounces out at the LA Harbor 43-yard line. That's where we're going to see the first of the Seahawk offense. They're coming in with the record of 2-2. LA Valley on the opposite end, 0-3 to start the season. 13:41 left to go here in the first quarter. A reminder, you're listening to Monarch Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. I'm Noah Alvarez, joined by Albert Robles, working camera for the start of this game. Starting at the quarterback position will be Javin Fish coming out in I formation. Dive to the right side. We'll get you some of the Seahawks starters. Both teams in the American Division. In 2019, they were in their conferences. They actually flipped conferences. Now, LA Harbor is in the American Metro Conference, while LA Valley was is in the American Pacific now. But in 2019, both those teams were in the opposite conference. 2nd and 6. Fish under center. He's going to roll left. Gets a nice block from his running back. Takes a deep shot down the left side of the field, and he's pushed out of bounds at the 11-yard line. He connects with wide receiver Eric Amos. So Eric Amos has his first reception. Fish has his first completion. And that was set up by a nice block from their running back Trey Samuels, who received the first handoff of the evening. The Seahawks are coming off a loss to Santa Barbara City College. Final score on that one was 43-7. LA Harbor scored actually the first touchdown in that game, and here's the end around for Amos, the player who just caught the touchdown. He's tackled out of bounds at the 9-yard line. Pushing him out of bounds was Vicente Cepeda, 5'6", 210-pound defensive back from Roosevelt High School here in the Los Angeles area.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's really helping is the tacklers. So if you need a good call on the tacklers,
Fish relaying the play call for the offense. 2nd and inches. It's a dive right up the middle, and a gang of Monarch defenders are there to meet him. Referees are going to say not good enough for the first down. So good defensive stand from the Monarchs. Let's see if they can hold them to a field goal on this 3rd and inches. Ball is placed on the 8-yard line. 11:52 left to go. The ball game is still scoreless in case you're just tuning in. Fish out there with Trey Samuel to his left, wearing number 85 to his right is Angel Zuniga. And there's going to be a timeout called by the Seahawks. So they're going to talk it over. They're head coached by Dean Dowdy. Speaking of College of the Desert, Dean Dowdy coached and played for both College of the Desert Roadrunners. Played in the 80s, coached there up until 2013. An offensive mind here at the JUCO level, and he's been around for quite some time. Now the head coach here at LA Harbor College. 3rd and inches coming up. 11:38 left to go here in the first quarter. Reminder, you are listening to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. All right, so big 3rd down coming up. Fish is going to take it under center. He's keeping the feet moving, and he gets a nice push from his offensive line. That's one thing that the Monarchs have really struggled to stop this year, the run of opponents. Last game against College of the Desert, they had a bye week last week, so their last game was 2 weeks ago on the 18th of September. So it's been a while since they've played. They lost 44-21 to College of the Desert. It was a road game. As Fish under center, ball on the 2-yard line. He hands it off to Samuel. Samuel looks like a series of defenders led by Richard Graham, the outside linebacker from Ontario, Canada. So it'll be 2nd and goal from the 2.5-yard line. As I mentioned, in the loss to College of the Desert, they gave up 336 yards on the ground, the Monarchs did. It's been a tough go trying to stop the run. Fish dropping back to pass, tries to get it to his receiver on the slant on the right side. That was John Casey. And Casey, the leading receiver on the team, unable to haul that one in. Nice positioning there by the defender, Prince Inanzala. This team is loaded with Canadian players, 7 players total on the roster, hailing from this country of Canada. Prince Inanzala had a 88-yard interception return last game against College of the Desert, which set up a nice, easy one-play touchdown drive. Fish gonna motion his his receiver, Amos, old school wing T action. However, there's gonna be a false start penalty called on LA Harbor offense. So we'll do it again, this time backed up 5 yards. Third, and it's going to be about 8. Third and goal from the 8-yard line. LA Harbor looking to strike first here in this Saturday's matchup. 10:31 left to go and counting in the first quarter. Still a scoreless ball game between the Monarchs and the Seahawks. Although the Seahawks are threatening. Fish coming out, I formation. Samuel, the deep back, looks to the right side. He has his receiver, and Casey toe taps his way into the end zone on the right side. First point scored of the evening, and the Seahawks take a 6-0 lead. There is a flag on the play, so hold on just a second, folks. Holding on the defense, so of course they're going to decline that penalty. The touchdown will stand, and the Seahawks, as I said, pending extra point, will go up 7-0. Getting off to a fast start is a must for the Monarchs. They have fallen behind early and often in their games this year. So with 10:15 left to go here in the first quarter, the Monarchs trail 7-0 to LA Harbor. A reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Back here on SportsNetUSA.net, LA Valley trails LA Harbor Seahawks 7-0, 10:15 left to go here in the first quarter. I am Noah Alvarez, joined by Albert Robles, working some camera action for tonight's game. Here at Monarchs Stadium, the sun setting on the right side of the field. Short kick. This one's going to be returned by Ellison. They try a reverse play, try and get it to Cepeda, and Cepeda guts it up the middle to the 26-yard line. So special teams trying to get something started, ignite a spark for this offense. And during the year, they've had good success on their special teams. In that first game of the season, even though they lost to Mount Sac, there was a bright spark from their special teams. Both Jelani Ellison and Dupree Fuller Jr. both had some electrifying kickoff returns in that first game. Then against Pasadena City College, Jelani Ellison was able to take one back for 6. That really got things going in the second quarter for the Monarchs as they took on the Lancers. That game was broadcasted by both myself and Ryan Osborne. As here's a pass for Fuller Jr. Quick screen pass over to the right side. He tries to reverse field and actually loses 7 yards, to the 21-yard line of the Monarchs. So not the ideal start. Starting behind the chains once again. Isaiah Johnson, 2 receivers to each side of him. Thrusted into the starting quarterback position after injuries to Wesley Shamanga, to Zachary Chevalier, and to Ezekiel Savage Jr. So on the 4th-string quarterback, converted linebacker, played quarterback at Crenshaw High School. So they're asking him to do quarterback duties today. They have some offensive linemen banged up as well. Here's a deep shot, and just past the outstretched hands of Cameron Lewis. He was streaking down the right side of the field. 3rd and long set up for the Monarchs here. Johnson flushed out to his right, had to make a tough throw on the run, but he was able to get a lot on that ball. And if you saw that throw, yes, it was a little inaccurate, but you wouldn't have thought that was a linebacker throwing that pass. So Johnson does have an arm. They won't be limited on their offense. Pressure was caused by Jaquez Harvey over on the left side. Johnson now with trips to the right. Martin tries to lay a chip on Harvey. This is a short pass to Fuller Jr. Fuller makes a man miss on the near sideline, weaving through traffic, and he gets a block. He's going to be able to pick up a first down. So 3rd and long, a little short out route to the near sideline. And Fuller, special player with the ball in his hands. He shows you why. He's one of the dominant receivers here. for the Monarchs. On the season, he has 10 receptions. That was number 12. Came into this game with 10 receptions, 153 yards, and 1 touchdown. They also like to use him in the run game, so expect some jet sweeps to him from time to time. He steps to the sideline. Adrian Wallace comes in to replace him. He was a man in motion on the near sideline. This one is a short pass to Jelani Ellison. Ellison dancing around looking for a crease. He reverses field, and he bursts up the right hash near sideline, and he's going to take it in for 6. Ellison with the splash play here on the offensive side of the ball, and the Monarchs, pending the extra point, will have tied this game up with LA Harbor. That was a 52-yard touchdown catch and throw from Johnson to Ellison, the sophomore receiver from Reseda High School. I mentioned earlier, a lot of players from Canada, a lot of players from Reseda High School. 7 players from Reseda High School on this roster, 7 players from the country of Canada. Head coach Lester Towns does a nice job of recruiting not only local talent, but international talent here for this Monarch squad. And the PAT is good by Guillermo Collin. So the game is now tied 7-7. LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. .8:21 left to go here in the first quarter. You are listening to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. I'm Noah Alvarez, joined by Albert Robles, working some camera for us this evening. And as we get ready for this kickoff, wanted to update you on some of the scores around the league. And if you're a fan of community college football, well, you're in luck. SportsNetUSA.net has you covered. Earlier today, that game kicked off at 1:00 p.m. Golden West took on Long Beach City College, and we'll get you the scores for that game right after this kickoff. Guillermo Collin set to kick it off. Davis and Amos back deep to return. This one's going to go to short, taken at the 26-yard line. We'll get you the number in a sec. Returned by 85, Brian Aguilar. So they'll start the ball on their own 36-yard line. Again, we'll see the second time on the evening the Seahawk offense. And to get you that score update, Golden West, the Rustlers, take down Long Beach City College by a score of 37-20 here on that Saturday afternoon. Golden West coming off a huge, monumental win. We'll get more into that later during the halftime show. Last week they defeated Riverside City College, and a fairly big upset here in the CCCAA action, as this handoff is to Samuels up the left side, and he is met by a wall of Monarch defenders. He'll bring up second down and 11. The Seahawks on their own 35-yard line. Fish in the backfield, joined by Samuel. 3 receivers out to his left. Casey is the receiver closest to the near sideline. 4 down linemen. And this one, quick throw over to the far sideline, was intended for his speedy receiver, Emmanuel Davis, but that one is going to be thrown too wide for him. Prince Inandala was in coverage on that side. Looked like they were going cover 2. One thing, if you're watching this game, the Monarchs like to use a series of linebackers. If you look at all the numbers, a lot of 40s, a lot of 50s out there, a good amount of DBs as well. Richard Graham is a linebacker you want to take note of. Currently in a lineman stance, rushing from the inside, wearing the number 47 jersey. This one's handed off to Samuels. Draw up the middle. He keeps the feet moving, and he's going to get the first down. Initially met at the 40-yard line, but was able to keep his feet moving all the way up to the 48-yard line. And that'll be good enough for a Seahawk first down. 7:25 left to go here. Lester Towns and his squad looking to pick up their first victory of the young season. 2 more games before they start conference play. This one handed off to Samuels, and he is met in the backfield. Jordan Jackson and David Francis Jr. in and on the backfield for that tackle for loss. Guillermo Collin going to check in for De'Anthony Jackson. I talked to Coach Towns before the season started. He wanted to run a 3-4, but just doesn't have the amount of defensive linemen that can create penetration and maintain gap control. So he uses a series of different linebackers to create pressure, to stop the run. And while they have had mixed results this season, the linebackers are very athletic. Once they get in the rhythm, watch out for them to create pressure in scenarios like this. 3rd and long after that incompletion to Eric Amos. 3rd and 10 from the 47-yard line. 6:26 left to go here in the first quarter. Fish in shotgun, 2 receivers to each side. Amos in the slot, far sideline. Samuels in the backfield to his right. Monarchs, 2 down linemen, 2 stand-up linebackers. They only bring 4. Fish being chased out to his left. He's going to throw it deep down to the opposite side of the field, and making that catch near the sideline is Amos. Amos displaying that fancy footwork, just like Casey did on that touchdown earlier this first quarter. And now he's going to be pushed out of bounds at the 32-yard line of the Monarchs. So they get past midfield and, again, convert on 3rd down. That's something that LA Valley did really well against the Roadrunners in that game against College of the Desert. The Roadrunners went 5 for 15 on 3rd down conversions in that game. Yet they did go 3 and 4 on 4th down. This one's handed off to Samuel off the right side. Bounces off a defender, and he is met out of bounds. Larry Kraft was the linebacker to push him out at about the 26-yard line. 2nd down and 3. 5:45 left to go here in the first. Seahawks in their white uniforms. White pants, black helmets. Fish standing at 6'3". Samuels lined up behind him. The Monarchs bring pressure. This one's a quick pass over to Davis on the left side, but this one's thrown too low. In on the pressure was David Francis Jr., and they sent 6 guys to rush Fish on that one. Fish kind of rushed his throw, and it was inaccurate because of that. That'll stop the clock at 5:24. Fish has another 3rd down conversion on this drive. Seahawks looking to convert for the 3rd time. Davis and Braff, the receivers, near side. Amos and Casey to the receivers on the far sideline. This one's a little hitch route over to Amos, who was in the slot position. He tried to make a sliding catch. Referees are going to say he caught it. So he slid and caught it, and one of the defenders quickly rushed in and swatted the ball out, yet the referees are going to still mark that a completed catch. So another 3rd down conversion, 3 on this drive already. Fish and the Seahawks offense are moving. Fish looking over to his left. This one's thrown out to the flats. Braff finally tackled out of bounds at the 7-yard line, but after an about a 10-yard gain, they're going to give them a first down on that one. Just a quick little out route. Pushed out of bounds by defensive back Sean Wilson. Freshman from Burbank. This one's handed off in the backfield, and the Monarchs are going to be able to corral him. That was Welke Hogan coming in to give Trey Samuels a breather, and he was met immediately in the backfield. Forward progress is only going to give him a 2-yard loss. It'll be 1st and goal from the 11-yard line.
Brings up 2nd and goal for the Seahawks.
.358 left to go here in the first. Fish. Monarchs send pressure. Fish is able to get this off, and he's going to keep his feet moving, and he stopped just short of the end zone. That was Matthew Origel.
Is complete. Gain of 10.
Tackled by Dennis Wallace, freshman defensive back from Gardena. Fish now going to go under center after going shotgun for much of this drive. 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line. Fish going to try and do it himself. He stood up. He's moving his feet. No whistles blown until the referees rule him in the end zone. So
Rest of the 1 yard for the touchdown.
touchdown Seahawks. That is their 2nd touchdown on the evening. Fish does it himself again. 1 throwing, 1 rushing. He has 2 touchdowns on the evening. And pending the extra point, they'll go up 14-7. Brian Aguilar in to kick. This one is good. So the score turns 14-7 here with 3:19 left to go here in the first quarter. A reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Back here on SportsNetUSA.net, I am Noah Alvarez here at Monarchs Stadium. 3:19 left to go here in the first quarter. Seahawks have a 14-7 lead over the Monarchs. Monarchs looking to pick up their first win on the season, entering tonight's game 0-3. Seahawks entering tonight's game 2-2. This ball is kicked deep. Coxum is going to take this from his own 6-yard line. Heads up the middle, cuts it out to the right, and he's tackled finally at the 32-yard line. Tackled by Darrison Morrison of the Seahawks. And that is where the Monarchs will start their 3rd offensive drive on the evening. Their first drive stalled out as a 3-and-out. Their second drive was really made by receiver Dupree Fuller Jr. In a 3rd and 14 situation, he was able to turn a 7-yard out into a big gain. Got enough for a first down, was able to move the chains, and on the very next play, Jelani Ellison was able to catch a screen, do the rest, and score a 59-yard touchdown. That's how we have the score 14-7. Johnson throws this one short. The intended receiver was Fuller Jr. over on the left side. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10. Johnson filling in at quarterback. He is technically the 4th-string quarterback, playing the 4th quarterback to play for the Monarchs this season. Shavai entered the season as a starter, got banged up against Mount Sac. Ezekiel Savage came in as a backup to replace him. He suffered a season-ending injury. And then Wesley Shamanga filled in. And during the College of the Desert game, he suffered an injury as well. So 3 quarterbacks, 3 injuries. This one's handed off to Coxum, and Coxum drops the ball after the handoff, and walking it in to score is Dylan Cardenas, the sophomore linebacker who played in 2019, one of the few returners for the Seahawks defense. He leads the team with tackles, and now he has a fumble recovery for a touchdown to add to his resume on the young season. 20-7 is the score, pending the extra point. Brian Aguilar in to attempt the PAT. It was a handoff from Johnson to Coxum. He was trying to run a sweep over to the left side. There's a flag on the PAT, so we'll see what the penalty is on in just a second. But Coxum took the ball, and before he could even churn up the field, he was still running laterally. The ball hit the deck. He was tackled in the backfield, and Cardenas was able to scoop and score an easy 23-yard return for the touchdown. It was a false start called on the Seahawks, so we'll do it again. 2:57 left to go here in the first quarter. 20-7 pending the PAT. Penalty by Aguilar is good.
2:57 left in the quarter. Monarchs 7, Seahawks 21.
82 is unique, isn't it? An Aguilar. I think Aguilar's 83. Okay, just want to be sure of my roster.
Back here on SportsNetUSA.net, you're listening to LA Valley College football here at Monarchs Stadium. Noah Alvarez joined by Albert Robles. Still in the first quarter, 2:57 left to go. The Seahawks have a 21-7 lead after a costly fumble for the Monarchs. Coxum coughed it up on the ground. The sophomore running back, wearing number 7, started off the season wearing number 15. Started off the season wearing number 20, then to 15, now to 7 with the injury to Ezekiel Savage. From Pasadena, California, went to LaSalle High School. He's back deep to return with Jelani Ellison. They try to reverse 2 kick returns ago, so we'll see if they try anything tricky. Coxum's going to take it back from his own 6-yard line, heading up the middle, and he has a burst of speed. He has a few blocks in front of him, and he's running angry, and he's finally tackled down at the Seahawk 47-yard line. Little extracurricular activity going down on the near sideline. Referees do let them play. Let's see where they mark him down. At the 45-yard line. So they're going to start on the plus side of the 50. Let's see if Johnson and the offense can get things going. 2:47 left to go in the first. Johnson wearing number 12. Played linebacker the first 3 games. Led the team in tackles, 18 tackles on the season. Asked to play quarterback in tonight's game. Played some quarterback at Crenshaw High School a few years ago. He has 3 receivers over to his left. He's going to drop back. 5-step drop, deep drop, deep drop. Finally getting pressured. Rolls out to his right, and he hits his running back, Bennett, over on the right side flats. He keeps his feet moving. The first defender to meet him was Braden Johnson, but he picked up another 6 yards after first initial contact. That one seemed to spark the Monarch home crowd and the Monarch sideline. They're going to mark him down at the 25-yard line. Referees are going to talk about if there was a penalty on the play. Sideline warning on the Monarch side. No, excuse me, on the Seahawks side.
It looks to be that it was set to auto change.
So it'll be 1st and 10 from the Seahawk 25. 5 yards away from the end zone. Johnson in the backfield with Shane Bennett.
Because that's when I look at the internet protocols, right?
He's going to fake to Bennett. He's going to roll to the left, and trying to run before he caught the ball was Fuller Jr. He is a special player in the open field, but you got to catch the ball before you start taking off. Costly mistake there. 2nd down and 10. Let's see if the Monarchs are able to bounce back from that drop right there. Had a lot of green out in front of him. Probably started thinking about what he was going to do after the catch. Could have at least got the first down. He had a good 6 to 7 yard cushion between him and the nearest defender. It was a good play action fake by Johnson. Bennett still the deep back. Speed option play. He pitches it. Bennett over near the numbers on the far side, and he's met by a wall of defenders. Cardenas was in on that tackle, as well as Charles O'Neill. He's tackled down at the 27-yard line, 22-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd and 7. 1:40 left to go in the first quarter. Seahawks up 21-7 over LA Valley, although the Monarchs are looking to to score. 2 receivers bunched to the right of Johnson in the formation. Johnson's going to roll out to that right side. He's going to hit Fuller Jr. over on the near sideline. He catches it at the 8, and he was behind his defender. So it's an easy touchdown for the Monarchs. 2nd touchdown on the evening. 2nd touchdown pass for Isaiah Johnson. So the 4th-string quarterback who played linebacker these first 3 games, having no trouble getting situated and scoring for this Monarch offense. It's 21-13 pending the extra point from Guillermo Collin. Collins' field goal is through the upright, so it's 21-14. Now the score. Monarchs were able to punch that drive in. They started that drive at the 45-yard line of the Seahawks thanks to a very explosive kickoff return from Dante Coxum. That was one thing I mentioned at the top of the broadcast. The special teams, specifically the kickoff return unit, has been very dynamic and very explosive for the Monarchs this season. Their offense hasn't been able to move the ball up and down the field with tons of success this year, but their kickoff return has continuously put them in good situations, good starting field position. They returned 1 kick return back for a touchdown. That was against Pasadena City College. Both Ryan Osborne and myself were out there for that game. And because of that great starting field position on that last drive, Johnson was able to make a few clutch throws. That last one to Dupree Fuller Jr., the sophomore receiver from El Camino Real High School, was able to get past his defender, and Johnson made a nice floating pass into his arms for 6. This is a short kickoff. Davis is going to get this on the hop, and he is met by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Monarch defenders. Leading the charge was Shane Bennett, the running back, making some plays on the special teams. If you look at both sidelines are thinner than where they started the season. Monarchs have suffered a few injuries throughout the year, as I mentioned. Currently on their 4th-string quarterback, but also are missing their starting right tackle, Taleem Thompson. They're missing a few players on their defensive line as well. And the Seahawks, if you look over at their sideline, they look to be pretty thin as well. Fish is going to march back the offense out onto the field. Samuels is the running back. They're going to go shotgun. Fish drops back to pass. This one deflected by Jordan Stevenson, the sophomore defensive back from St. Louis, Missouri. 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, that's true.
1:07 left to go here in the first. Referee's going to call a personal timeout. I think they're going to go get an equipment check for number 85 as he jogs out. Thank you. Fish hands it off to Samuel up the middle on the right side. Picks up 1 yard, and he's met in the middle by Richard Graham. The heart and soul of this Monarch defense has been asked to play all over the defensive front this year. Started off as an outside linebacker in their 3-4, but now they have gone to a 2-4-5 hybrid look with plenty of linebackers on the field to create pressure, basically in pass down situations like this. Graham now lined up on the near side of the line. He's trying to create some pressure. Fish throws this one for Amos, and this one is tipped away from Wallace. There is a penalty flag in the vicinity of holding in the backfield. So we'll see. It was 3rd and 9 from the Seahawks 38-yard line. Monarchs defense needed a key stop after allowing 4 straight conversions on their last drive. Referee's talking it over. We'll get the call right now. 15 seconds left to go in the first. Chop blocking. A chop block called on the Seahawks. The Monarchs are going to decline. So 4th and 9, and that should bring out the punting unit for the Seahawks.
4th and 9 for the Seahawks.
Their offense stays out there. Now Fish and the offense are going to jog out. Head coach Dean Dowdy sending the punt unit out. Dante Coxum and Vicente Cepeda back deep to return.
Awesome and Bennett back deep to receive for Valley.
Back deep to punt. This one's a high kick, but doesn't go very far. Coxum's going to hang around the ball, but let it bounce all the way down to the 28-yard line of the Monarchs. That was Jared Braff kicking it away for the Seahawks. That'll mark the end of the first quarter here at Monarchs Stadium. The Monarchs trail 21-14 here on SportsNetUSA.net. So after we flip fields, the Monarchs will be heading from right to left, looking to capitalize on what seems to be a little bit of momentum, their first defensive stop in tonight's game. And it's worth mentioning that because they had so little success against College of the Desert 2 weeks ago at stopping them on their drives. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, they held the Roadrunners to only 5 of 15 on 3rd down conversions, but they did give up 3 crucial 4th down conversions. And they also gave up 336 yards on the ground. So the Roadrunners really had their way with them offensively, able to run all over that defense. But the Monarchs have put a much better effort forth here at their home stadium against the Seahawks. Looking to pick up their first win on the season. Lester Towns in his 2nd year as the head coach. Both teams didn't play in the 2020 spring season. Johnson back deep to take the snap. He's going to launch it deep. He has an open man, and Cameron Lewis going to catch that ball. It was a bit underthrown, but he was able to come back for the ball. He falls while making the catch, and he will be down at the 36-yard line. Lewis now on the left side of the formation. 3 receivers over to that left side. Johnson faced some serious pressure on that last throw, but he was able to get it off and get a good throw on it. They're now on the opposite side of midfield, looking to attack, looking to score. Bennett's in the backfield. They're going to motion a receiver from left to right. Johnson can't handle the low snap. Now he's going to throw that one out of bounds with his left hand. Athletic move there, but now the referee is going to talk about it, and yes, here comes the yellow flag. He was out of the pocket, and there was a receiver in the vicinity, so we'll see what the referees decide to call. But a lot of the coaches and the players on the Seahawks side asking for an intentional grounding. The receiver over on the left side was Cameron Lewis. It was thrown about 4 yards short and about 6 yards wide because Johnson did switch it to his left hand. He was being chased by Charles O'Neal in pursuit. Referee going to go talk it over to the Monarch sideline. It was a low snap. They were motioning DeQuan Paul from left to right, the freshman from Gardena High School, and what I can only imagine would be a jet sweep play, but because of the low snap, Johnson would have had to ditch the called play, try to improvise. The referees are going to call a intentional grounding, so it's a 15-yard penalty plus a loss of downs, so it'll be second down and forever. Ball now on the opposite side of the Finney. At the Monarch 48 to be exact. Three receivers. Over to the left as referees are going to talk it over. Umpire picks up the ball and looks like they're going to march it back. It might have been only a 10-yard penalty, not a 15. We'll see what they're discussing in just a moment. 14-15 left to go in the second quarter. You're listening to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. They do march it up 5 yards, so nope, they're going to continue to march it up. Not sure exactly. So they march it back over to the original line of scrimmage. Then they march it back 5 yards from that original point. Albert and I both shrugging our shoulders, not knowing what's going on. So it looked like it's a 5-yard penalty for the intentional grounding. They do lose the down, second down and 15 rather than second down and 25. No disagreements from the Seahawks sideline or head coach Dean Dowdy. So it looks like we should be able to continue play after the white hat whistle. Three receivers over to Johnson's left. Lewis closest to the Monarchs sideline. Johnson looking to air it deep. He's trying to hit Lewis. Lewis gets boxed out, and the defender in coverage did a nice job. Wearing number 13, it was Kashawn Lang in coverage for the Seahawks. He tips that one away, and he did a nice job of getting in front of Lewis. Lewis would have to gone over the back for that catch. He did a nice job of not using his hands there. And there's a chop block penalty on LA Valley College. So penalty after penalty here has really kind of delayed the flow of this game. Reminder, this was the possession started after the 3-and-out forced by the Monarchs defense. The first 3-and-out forced on the day. They had just scored a touchdown previously too, so they had a lot of momentum. Now they are set up with a second and very, very long. The ball is on the Monarch 42, and the yard to gain is the Seahawk 28-yard line. Second down still. Three receivers to Johnson's left. He's getting pressured from that right side. He's going to try and take off. He flips it up over to his receiver, Martin. Chasing him on the play was Zyler Thornton. They're going to ask for another flag. Yes, they do. They see the yellow piece of laundry out onto the field. Johnson might have stepped over the line of scrimmage before flipping that ball over to Martin, who was on the near hash side.
What's the name of that penalty?
An illegal forward pass. Should be being called right here by the referee. So 3 penalties in a row have forced the Monarchs to go backwards. I believe this one is a loss of downs as well. Yes, it is. So it's a penalty and a loss of downs on the illegal forward pass. 13:56 left to go. And as I mentioned, they were trying to get some momentum, the Monarchs were, after getting their first 3 and out on the defense. But they've only gone backwards here on this drive.
Still second down for the Monarchs.
Third down. Third down for the Monarchs. The ball is on the 44-yard line. Yard to gain is the 28 of the Seahawks. Johnson with 2 receivers to each side. Lewis, the receiver on the near side. Martin and Fuller Jr. over on the far sideline. Bennett in the backfield with him. Johnson getting pressured and forced to step up into the pocket. He's on the run. He breaks contain. He's down the far sideline, and he gets back to the original line of scrimmage or near it. He's pushed out around the 40-yard line. As I mentioned earlier, the yard to gain was the 28. So 4th and about 11. He did pick up a bunch of yards, basically all the penalty yards, but it's still not going to be enough for a first down. We'll see what they do now. They're on the plus side of the 50. If Lester Towns and the coaching staff seem to be aggressive. Checking into the game is Don Harrell. He's out there with Cameron Lewis, Dallas Martin, and Dupree Fuller Jr. is a lone receiver on the far side. Johnson getting the play from the sideline. And looks like they're going to take a timeout as the play clock was winding down. 13:22 left to go here in the second quarter. A reminder, you are listening to LA Valley College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. So 4th and 12, ball on the Seahawk 40. Monarchs heading from right to left. They're going to go for it on 4th and 12. Johnson with 3 receivers over to his left. Martin, Lewis, and Harrell on that side. Fuller Jr., the lone receiver on the right side. He's getting pressure from that right side. Johnson's going to air it out deep again. Lewis gets bumped by the defensive back and makes the catch still at the 5-yard line. There's a flag thrown. That's going to be a passing interference called on O'Neal, but regardless of the penalty, Lewis was able to focus in. Good concentration there on the catch, and it'll set the Monarchs up for 1st and goal. They'll actually mark him down at the 3-yard line. So a 37-yard pass for Johnson. And as I've mentioned, and I'll mention continuously throughout this broadcast, Johnson started out this year as the starting linebacker for this Monarchs defense. But after a series of injuries to the 3 quarterbacks on this roster, he had the most quarterbacking experience in high school. So Johnson was asked to switch numbers, switch positions, switch sides of the ball, playing quarterback for the Monarchs today, and he has done an exceptional job so far. Been able to scramble when he faced pressure, and he has an arm. I was worried that he was going to have either to tailor the offense to Johnson, short passes and a lot of run plays, but Johnson has shown that he has the arm strength to chuck it down deep, just like we saw there. Johnson, quarterback power over to the right side. He lowers the shoulder. He marches into the end zone for a touchdown, pending the extra point. The Monarchs trail 21-20 with 12:43 left to go here in the second quarter. It was a quarterback designed run. They pulled that right guard out to the right side with a lot of space to work with. Johnson was able to follow that lead blocker, lower the shoulder on the first defender, and keep his feet moving. Falls into the end zone, 4-6. Again, that was really started or really able to happen because of Johnson's 37-yard pass on 4th and 12, be it after a series of penalties. Johnson was able to make a 20-yard scramble, set up a 4th and 12. Lester Towns decided to roll the dice, go for it on 4th and 12. Johnson, despite facing pressure, made a deep throw to Cameron Lewis. He got bumped, was still able to make the catch at the 5-yard line. That set up a 1st and goal, and that set up the touchdown on the following play to Johnson. So Johnson has 3 touchdowns on the evening, 2 thrown, 1 rushing, 12:43 left to go, and the game is tied at 21 apiece. The Monarchs looking to pick up their first win on the season here in the 2021 season. They went 3-6 in the 2019 season, 2-4 in American Metro Conference play. They moved to the American Pacific Division, while LA Harbor moved from the American Pacific to the American Metro. They're about 2 weeks out from starting American League play, as this one's returned by Amos. He takes it up the middle over to the left side, and he's pushed out on the far sideline at about the 44-yard line. 12:36 left to go. Seahawks looking to bounce back after going 3-0 on that last series. The Monarch defense, who uses a hybrid of defensive backs and linebackers to create pressure and fill running lanes, have done an exceptional job in tonight's game so far. They've given up 14 points on that side of the ball. A reminder, that 3rd touchdown was a fumble recovery for a touchdown after Coxum coughed up the ball. And this one's kept by Fish on the read option. Fooled everyone in the stadium, and he takes that for a 14-yard gain. Crosses midfield over to the opposite 42-yard line. It'll be a 1st down.
First down for the Seahawks.
That was P.J. Trusty who came in off the edge. Fish was reading him, and this ball is thrown. This ball is thrown too low for the intended receiver. That was Davis on the far side. But there is a penalty on the play. We're waiting the call from the referee. Holding penalty on the Seahawks. That'll march them back 10 yards, and we'll redo it at 1st down. Going back to 2 plays ago, Fish was reading Trusty, who came in on a blitz from the outside. He chased running back. Fish pulled it, had a nice 14-yard pickup. That simple read option is something you see a lot here at the college and high school level. If you have an athletic quarterback, it's a very easy, not easy, but it's a very deceptive offense to run. Get the defense thinking one thing. Fish, again, facing pressure. Trusty in on the blitz. He escapes. He rushes up the middle, and he slides right into the knee of Richard Graham. And they're going to throw the flag. That was a questionable penalty call, to say the least. He slid into Graham. Graham made no attempt to tackle him. He was running actually side to side, and Graham's complaining to his coaches. They're going to call a roughing penalty, personal foul penalty on Richard Graham. And again, Richard Graham explaining to the referees he's innocent in this penalty call. Fish slid into his legs. I'm surprised Graham didn't hit the deck after being slid into. But nonetheless, they try to protect the quarterback at all levels of football now. Even when they break contain, just like Fish did there. It's a 1st down, ball now placed on the 30-yard line. Seahawks facing a four-man rush. He gets it to Davis. Davis running the dig up the middle, creating some space with his legs, and he's finally tackled down at the 5-yard line.
Yeah, he told me about the system. I'll let him know. So we get our see up here so you guys just get
Brings it to
That'll bring up 1st and goal now for the Seahawks, and they're moving on this offensive drive.
first and goal.
Just a simple dig route over on the far side. Davis has some serious speed over there in the orange cleats. 11:25 left to go in the second quarter. This is a jet sweep coming from right to left. Amos on the handoff, and he's able to fall just short of the end zone. They're going to rule him just inches short. Is there a flag on the play? Looks like the referees are murmuring to each other. So there is a penalty on LA Harbor. They're going to march him back 10 yards.
March to the back to the Valley 18. Retreat first down.
So 1st and goal, but this time now from the 18-yard line. Seahawks coming out in a doubles formation. Casey, the receiver, at the bottom of your screen. This one is intercepted after it's tipped up twice, and he's still on his feet. I believe that is PJ Trusty over on the far sideline, and he was able to tiptoe around the sideline. There is a flag on the play. That is John Moore who actually intercepted. It was a high throw intended for receiver Eric Amos over on the left side. It was tipped up by Amos, then tipped up by Moore himself, and then Moore was able to catch it after the tip. There is a flag on the play. We'll see. The defense is celebrating, making their way to the sideline, so that gives me a sign that it's after the interception. A penalty maybe on the return. And somehow Moore was able to navigate through traffic over on that far sideline. I thought he was going to be pushed out of bounds. Yet he was able to keep his feet in bounds. It's a penalty.
Penalty on Valley.
So it's a penalty on the return. Valley will retain possession.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
So it's an illegal block in the back penalty on the Monarchs. On the return, they're going to give the interception to John Moore, sophomore defensive back from Royal High School. He played over in 2019 season. Offensive lineman waiting for another offensive lineman to join him. Somebody's not out there that should be. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Taleem Thompson, their big left tackle. Excuse me, not Taleem Thompson. Jimmy Garcia. Excuse me, not Ethan Hazan, the big right tackle, standing at 6'8", freshman from Taft High School. He is unable to play tonight, so they had to mix and match at the offensive line position. Taleem Thompson over there on the left side, big left tackle over there from New Jersey. This one, a low snap. Johnson able to get it to Bennett. Bennett over on the left side, runs through an arm tackle, and he's pushed near the sideline for a 3-yard gain to the 19-yard line.
Gain of 1 on the play. Excuse me, gain of 4
Second down and 7.
for the Monarchs.
Monarchs heading from right to left, looking to capitalize off the interception. So on back-to-back defensive possessions, they forced a 3-and-out, then got a huge interception. There was a block in the back penalty on the return. They're going to fake the jet sweep, hands it off to Bennett up the middle, and he is met by Dylan Cardenas, the leader on this defense, the leading tackler. Came into this game with 26 tackles, has 4 already on the evening, and the fumble recovery for a touchdown. An active sophomore who played in 2019, one of 3 defensive starters who returned from the 2019 Seahawks season. Johnson with 2 receivers to each side of him. He's going to roll left. Bennett gets a key block on the left side. This ball is thrown low. Intended receiver was Jelani Ellison, and we've seen some sloppy throws from Johnson. Again, total disclaimer, he is a linebacker playing quarterback for the first time this season. Played quarterback at Crenshaw High School, so with the injuries to Chevalier, Savage, and Shamanga, the Monarchs are asking him to play quarterback, and he's made some key clutch throws, deep throws as well. He does have the arm strength to make throws 30-plus yards down the field. However, on that throw, as he's rolling left, didn't set his feet, didn't turn his hips, and it was a sloppy throw that was thrown into the dirt, too low for Ellison. This ball is punted away by Kalanji. Catch is made at the 49. An attempted tackle there, and Davis is still on his feet. That's Amos. Amos returning the ball, went backwards. It was Quanta Pugh who had a good grasp on him, but he did one of those spinning tackles, and Amos was able to stay on his feet, use that spin as momentum, and in doing so, he did go back about 10 yards, try to juke some more defenders out, but then he decided just to cut his losses. It was a loss of 8 yards on the return. He was able to get it back to the 42-yard line of the Seahawks. There is a player down. That's A.R. Ishmael. Penalty called on the Seahawks on the return, so you're going to march them back. 9:17 left to go.
Penalty on Harbor, illegal hands to the face. First and 10 from the Seahawks 33.
First and 10 from the Seahawks 33. 9:17 left to go here in the second quarter. Game is all tied up at 21 apiece. Fish marches out the offense. Once again, their last time they were out there, they threw an interception that was tipped up, intended for Amos on a screen. Both Amos and Casey over on the right side. 2 running backs in the backfield. This one is a quick throw up the seam. Amos makes the catch and is immediately tackled by P.J. Trusty. That'll move the chains over to the 45-yard line. Efficient throw from Fish there. That seems to be the hole that they want to attack in this defense. The Monarchs are rolling with a single high safety look, so probably playing some cover 3 or cover 1 underneath. This one's a toss right. Samuel breaks contain, able to get about 3 yards before he's met by the corner over there on the far side. That's P.J. Trusty again. So he's actually coming from the linebacker position, P.J. Trusty, another active member on this defense, came into this game with 10 tackles, has 2 on this drive already to add to his count. 8:20 in ticking here in the second quarter. Second down and 7. Ball on the Seahawks 48-yard line. Richard Graham looks like he's going to come in from that backside. He does, but Samuel's able to bust it off over to that side for about a 6-yard gain, falls just short of the first down marker. Gabriel Hernandez is in on the tackle, 5'11" freshman from Chaminade High School.
Third and 1 for the Seahawks.
Third and 1 from the Monarchs' 46-yard line. We'll call it 1.5. Pressure is coming. Fish hit as he's thrown, and he's not able to make a clean throw. That was Richard Graham and Julio Cortez in on the pressure. Graham came from the outside. Cortez came from the inside. And Fish, as he was stepping into that throw, got knocked on his rear side. That'll stop the clock. 7:28. Fourth down. Offense is going to – nope. Offense was staying out there, but now head coach Dean Dowdy sends out his punt unit.
Analytics, bro. Go for it.
Active punt for Arbor, number 6,
There'll be a timeout called on the field by the Seahawks. Maybe you think this one over. It's 4th and 1 at the Monarch 46-yard line. When we return, 7:28 left to go in the second quarter. Game is all tied up at 21 apiece. A reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Back here on SportsNetUSA.net, I'm Noah Alvarez, formerly joined by Albert Robles as he took off for the evening. We do have another man working camera, and Fish came out in I formation with the Seahawks offense. Ars at the fullback, Samuel was the running back before they could get the snap off. Lester Townsend Company calls a timeout. They're going to talk it over. So a little chess match here between both sidelines. We're going to call a timeout. Draw up an offensive play. Lester Towns didn't like what he saw on the defensive side, so he calls timeout, and we'll do it again. 4th and 1, 7:28 left to go here in the second quarter. You're listening to LA Valley College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. So 4th and 1 coming up here for the Seahawks offense and for the Monarchs defense. Seahawks are going to come out in I formation once again. 2 receivers over to the right. Davis is the lone receiver on the left side. Under center, Fish. No, it's not Fish. It's an option play. And he is stopped behind the line of scrimmage. That was Sean Wilson, the freshman defensive back from Burbank, to make the tackle for a loss. They actually brought in backup quarterback Matthew Orija, who actually has played some quarterback this season. And he played some quarterback in the 2019 season, but he also has a reception on the day, so kind of a utility player. They decided to throw him under center. It looked like they were going to run a speed option play, but before he could even pitch it out to his running back, Wilson was in the backfield to make the tackle for a 2-yard loss. Now it is Monarch football at their own 43. 7:21 left to go. Johnson with the receivers to his left, 2 bunched up. That's Lewis, and it's a pitch to Deandre Smith. Deandre Smith played receiver to start off the season, and Coach Towns called me his deep threat. He wears number 1 for a reason. He's the fastest kid on this team, Coach Towns said. We saw him bust off a big 48-yard reception against Pasadena City College. And it'll be 2nd down and 2 after that 8-yard run. Johnson still with DeAndre Smith. They're going to toss it over. Smith looking to throw. He's going to chuck it deep. Lewis has to turn around and catch it, but he's there, tackled down at the 10-yard line. Some trick plays called from Coach Lester Towns and company. And that'll be a 1st down and goal. So this offense is rolling today. And what do you know, folks? All it took was to get to the 4th-string quarterback here on the season. And the Monarchs able to move the ball in big bunches. As I mentioned, Smith was one of the starting receivers for this team in their first game of the year, looking to get to the ball to him in many different ways. He can run, he can catch, and now we know that he can throw as well. A speed option play, and Johnson's going to cut in, take it himself, but he's met by a wall of defenders. First one there was number 94, Jaquez Harvey. 5:40 left to go here in the second quarter. Game is all tied up at 21 apiece. After a lot of scoring to start the game, we've seen kind of a lull in scoring as both defense kind of tighten up. Opposite to what we saw at Pasadena City College, where both teams were struggling to score in the first, then put it on in the second quarter. Now both teams struggling to put it on in the second. Johnson in pistol. He gets a low snap. He's trying to run out to his right. He thought about throwing it, and he is a strong runner. He breaks a tackle, breaks 2 tackles, and he gets it to his receiver. Andre Lawson in on the left side of the end zone. There is a flag thrown near where the linebackers are at the 6-yard line. That was unbelievable strength there by Johnson as he received the bad snap. There was pressure coming in from Harvey on that right side of the offensive line. It looked like he was going to go down to the sack, and then he kept his legs moving. He looked like he was going to throw it down and dump it off to Deandre Smith, broke through another defensive tackle, and then was able to keep his eyes downfield as he was running to his left, throw it down the field to Andre Lawson. This is not your average linebacker, folks. Johnson is making some plays at the quarterback position today, and even if the other quarterbacks come back healthy, they're going to call an offensive pass interference penalty, actually, on LA Valley. So negate the touchdown. Regardless, still a wonderful play by Isaiah Johnson. It won't count in the stat books, but for those who are in attendance or those watching the game on replay, that was a fantastic display of athleticism there by Johnson. 6'2", 230-pound sophomore from Crenshaw High School. So Johnson will march back out there. 3 receivers bunched up to the left. Fuller Jr. is the man on the line of scrimmage. Lawson and Del Villar are bunched up behind him. And there's going to be a timeout called by LA Valley. So with 5:08 left to go here in the in the second quarter, the Seahawks and the Monarchs are tied up at 21 apiece. You're listening to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Second down and goal from the 23-yard line because of the pass interference penalty that negated the touchdown. Johnson in the backfield with Deandre Smith to his left. 3 receivers bunched out. They're going to roll to the left. Johnson thinking, looking down the field. Going to throw it up for Fuller Jr. Fuller makes the catch on the ground, but he's out of bounds. Wasn't able to get a foot down. I believe he stepped out of bounds, too, as the referee on the near sideline threw his hat, which meant it would have been illegal touching, even if he did catch it.
Brings up 3rd down and goal for the Monarchs. Pass broken up by number 15, Brandon Johnston.
So Johnson as I mentioned, went to Crenshaw High School, helped Crenshaw go to the Division IV AA championship game where they defeated Placer High School in the championship in 2017. He also played basketball in the 2018 spring season, so a dual sport athlete. They defeated LaSalle for the CIF championship in the southern section. Let's see if I can get you some stats, but Isaiah Johnson doing it all at the high school level and showing off his athleticism here for the Monarchs. It's a false start penalty.
False start is on Valley. How many yards? 10-yard penalty.
Crenshaw also went to the CIF Division II tournament in 2018, so he was playing in 2 CIF championship games in his senior year. Isaiah Johnson is not shy of the big moment. Asked to play quarterback here for the Monarchs today. Deandre Smith is going to motion out to his left. Smith catches it on the screen. He has some lead blockers in front of him. Dancing around the near side. Drops the ball at the very last minute. We'll see if the referees mark him down. And they do. He is marked down at the 19-yard line.
Pass to Smith is complete.
Nice play design there to get some chunk yards right there, and we'll see what they decide to do.
11 yards. Brings up 4th down and 19.
4th and goal at the 19. Will they kick a field goal? Will they go for it? 4:42 left to go. Clock is ticking here in the second quarter. Johnson has made some special plays and has made a special play on key 4th down earlier today. Trips out to his right. They kind of rush out there. We'll see if they're going to just try in the hard count. And nope, they're going to call a timeout. No, excuse me, delay of game. Delay of game penalty called on the Monarchs. So we'll see if they still decide to go for it. Coach Towns has a tough decision out in front of him. Looks like they are going to go for it. Johnson and company runs back out to the field. Ball placed on the 24. 4th and goal. They have to get a touchdown on this one, or unless a penalty happens. The receiver is bunched out to the right. Daniel Del Villar is the lone receiver over on the left side. Smith running back to his right. Pressure coming from the right side. Johnson's just going to chuck it up to Fuller Jr. in the back right corner of the end zone. Applying the pressure for the Seahawks was John Foster and Ari Harvey. So it'll be a turnover on down. Instead of going for the field goal, getting some 3 points, they elect to go for it on 4th down. Come up empty. 1st down, going the opposite way. It's okay if you go for it this deep in your opponent's territory because now they don't have great field position to start off with the ball.
Seahawks take over on their own 24.
4:17 left to go at the beginning of this drive. Fish is going to march back out there with Samuels in the backfield. 3 receivers over to his left. Fish is going to roll out to his left. Tries to get it to his receiver, Braff, who is running a 10-yard out. Falls incomplete, a little inaccurate. We've seen both Fish and Johnson struggle to throw with accuracy while rolling to their left. It's a tough throw for the right-handed quarterback. You really got to emphasize on flipping your hips and turning your shoulders parallel, if you can kind of envision in that as I'm talking to you. You do have to get that front foot planted. Tongue twister there, as this one is handed off to Samuels up the middle. Gain of about maybe an inch or two. I think they're actually going to give him a loss on the play, so good penetration there. David Francis Jr. and DeAnthony Jackson were in on the pressure. 3rd and long. This is where the Monarchs thrive. They can use a series of different stunts and blitzes to create pressure on the opponent's offensive line. Fish with 3 receivers out to his left. Davis is the lone receiver to his right. Fish is going to roll that way. He flips it out to Braff. Braff over on the near sideline, picks up 11 yards. Good enough for the first down. Nice job by Fish there to really make the linebacker make a tough decision, either come and attack the ball carrier or stay in coverage, protect from that little flip. He decides to come up a few steps, and Fish just makes a nice, easy forward flip to Braff. Came in to tonight's game with 11 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 97 yards on the season. 2 receivers to each side. Pressure coming. Braff was the intended receiver, and this one is going the other way. He has a series of blockers, and that's a touchdown for the Monarchs. That is TK Drayton for a pick 6. The pass was intended for Braff, who was heading up the seam, and that hole has been open there all day, but he wasn't able to get both hands on it. Bounced off his shoulder pad and right into the hands of Drayton. And Drayton takes it back for 6, ran down the near sideline and had a convoy of defenders in front of him to lead the way. Beautifully done there. 2 interceptions on the evening for this Monarchs defense, and they're playing with some swagger over there on this near sideline. Kick from Colin is blocked. Tipped at the line of scrimmage. Didn't see a clean number on who tipped it. No one's celebrating either like they tipped it, so kind of hard to point out who did it. Can't give any credit, unfortunately. But regardless, with the interception return for a touchdown, the score is now moved 27-21. Your LA Valley Monarchs have a lead here with 2:56 left to go in the second quarter. A reminder, you're listening to Monarch Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. .256 left to go here in the second quarter. Monarchs have a 27-21 lead. Colin will be back to kick off. Davis and Amos back deep to return for the Seahawks. This one is kicked short. And catching this one was Cardenas. He returned it for about 4 yards before he was hit big. It was Elijah Hudson, the backup running back, who made the big hit. I'm assuming Cardenas was not expecting the ball right there on the front line. So 1st and 10 for the Seahawks. They are going to make a change at quarterback. Joey Gutierrez is going to come in. He's the leading passer on the season. 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a 55 completion percentage this year. Monarchs were short a few defenders. This one's thrown to Davis. Davis makes the man miss over on the near sideline, is finally tackled down at the 37-yard line. 2:40 left to go, and the clock is ticking. Seahawks are moving the pace rather quickly. 2 receivers to each side. Gutierrez back in shotgun. Samuels, the receiver to his left, running back to his left. It's a quick screen over to Davis. Davis has a blocker out in front of him, and he's finally brought down by Wilson. There's a flag thrown right there at the end of the tackle, so might be a penalty on the Monarchs and tack on a few extra yards on that one. Face mask penalty on the Monarchs. That was Sean Wilson. Guilty of the penalty, so tack on. Well, I don't know if it'll be 15 yards, but half the distance to the goal because they are so close. 10-yard line it is. So first and goal for the Seahawks. 2:21 left to go, and they've moved the ball rather quickly on this drive. 2 big chunk plays. Joey Gutierrez, as I mentioned, the leading thrower, but they decided to go with Javin Fish to start this game. Gutierrez receives a snap, some pressure. He's immediately sacked. Ball's on the ground, and guess who picks it up? That's Richard Graham. His teammates are trying to help him stay on his feet, and he's finally brought down from behind by one of the offensive linemen. And Richard Graham picks up the fumble, returns it for about 20 yards, all the way to the 42-yard line. As I mentioned, Richard Graham is the heart and soul of this Monarchs defense. Even in the blowout loss to Mount Sac, he was playing hard throughout to the fourth quarter. Richard Graham has a relentless motor, and he's played all different kinds of positions. Outside linebacker, he's lining up in a three-point stance on the inside. The freshman from Ottawa, Canada, doing a little bit of everything for this defense. Pressure came from the right side. That was Vernon Tucker who came out on the outside linebacker blitz. Gutierrez never saw him on his blind side, and that will lead the Monarchs to having the ball with 1:57 left to go. Coxum is in the backfield. Johnson takes it. It's a QB draw over to the left side. Johnson makes the first man miss. Now he drops the ball on the ground. It bounces around for a few seconds before a player on the Seahawks picks it up. And just like that, momentum switches over to the Seahawks side. Marcus Vaxon recovers the ball. Ooh, there is a penalty, though, on the play, so we'll see if this turnover stands. If it's an illegal shift, it should be first down for the offense, marching back 5 yards. But looks like they just pick up the flag. So no illegal shift penalty. Isaiah Johnson fumbles it after picking up a 14-yard rush. Try to get a little too much extra yards on that one. Trying to make a big play happen after another big play, and we'll see if the Monarchs can force another turnover here on defense. They forced 3 already in this game. 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, and 1 fumble recovery on the previous defensive play. This one is going to have to wait as there's a timeout called by the Seahawks. Reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. First and 10 from the Seahawks 42-yard line. Gutierrez in the backfield with 2 running backs, Arce and Samuel. This is a deep comeback route thrown to Amos on the far sideline. Gain of 12. Flips the ball over to the referee. It'll be first and 10 now from the Monarchs 41-yard line. 46. 1:40 left to go as he steps out of bounds. Clock is momentarily stopped. 27-21 is the score. Monarchs looking to hang on to their lead as they enter halftime. Casey and Braff, the receivers, on the near side. Amos is the lone receiver. Gutierrez is going to roll to his right. Another comeback, another catch. Casey tiptoes on the sideline. You can see Coach Towns chewing out defensive back Dennis Wallace. It's a 8-yard gain on this one, over to the 38-yard line. .134 again, clock stops because Casey was able to step out of bounds. They flip fields. Now on the right hash, Gutierrez is now going to roll to the left. This one thrown over the middle. Casey hit big by Sean Wilson over the middle, and there's a flag in the backfield. Some of the guys in the press box mulling over that it's a roughing the passer penalty, so we'll see. And it is.
Personal foul on Valley, roughing the passer. Brings the ball to the 12. First and 10 for the Seahawks.
So first down and 10. From the 13-yard line. Gutierrez in the backfield with Samuel and Ars. Two receivers over to his left. Casey being one of them near the sideline who just made that catch. 1:22 left to go. Referee made a mistake about when to blow the whistle. Ready for play. Last time the Seahawks were this close, they churned the ball over, as this one is thrown over to Samuel, and Samuel falls down as he catches this one. Doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage, so clock will keep ticking. It's a 2-yard loss as Gutierrez just led Samuel a little too much. If you're Samuel, you maybe just want to let that one go incomplete so the ball can, so the clock can stop and you don't lose any yards on the play. Yard to gain is the 3-yard line. The ball is now on the left hash. Two receivers over to the right, two receivers to the left. 45 seconds and ticking. Gutierrez relaying the offensive play call. Monarch linebackers look like they're coming. 5 rushers are on its way. Gutierrez throws it over to the right side, and this one falls incomplete. Well-timed coverage there by defensive back Vicente Cepeda. Pass was intended for Amos. Running a deep corner route. Cepeda was able to get his hand in there just at the last second. 3rd and 13. 34 seconds left in the second. Trips to the right. Both teams are out of timeouts. So we'll see what the Seahawks decide to do. Gutierrez takes the snap, looks to the right, looks to try to dump it off to his quarterback. There's pressure there from Jackson. Jackson spun him around but can't wrap him up on the first time. He does tackle him over on the left side near the line of scrimmage. 20 seconds of ticking. Will the Seahawks run out the PAT unit? Looks like they run out a few players. It was Jackson who created the initial pressure. Gutierrez made him miss. They're going to go for it. Gutierrez, 4th and 13, drops back. Going to throw it to single man coverage for his receiver, and Davis makes an incredible catch over 2 Monarch defenders. Davis stands at all of 5'10", but he went up the ladder to get that one. It looked like the corner Prince Inanzala jumped just a second too early. Mistimed his jump as the ball floated right past his fingertips. He's coming down from the jump. Davis was able to make the focus and make the catch, focusing throughout the entire play. So huge play from the Seahawks offense as time expires. Whistles blow this PAT dead. First touchdown on the evening for Joey Gutierrez, the quarterback. False start on LA Harbor. So big PAT here because LA Valley missed their PAT in their last touchdown. It was actually partially blocked. This one is through the upright, so 28-27 is the score. Here at Monarchs Stadium, the Monarchs trail to the Seahawks 28-27. A reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. I'm Noah Alvarez. We'll have some stats for you during this halftime show. We're going to take a quick, brief break, but we'll be back in just a sec. Have an entertaining game here for you guys as LA Valley currently trails the Seahawks 27-28. Squib kick to Davis. It squirts all the way through. This ball is fumbled. Can the Monarchs recover? And it looks like they're unable to capitalize. It looks like a Seahawks defender was able to fall on the ball, but Davis had that ball poked out from behind him. Another big matchup today. College of the Canyons defeated Riverside City College. Excuse me, that game's in the third quarter, but they look to be in control. 34-10 is the score as the Canyons defeated Fullerton College 2 weekends ago. They were currently ranked 4th in the latest ranking, so they might be moving up after taking down Riverside City College. Ventura, the number 3 team ranked in the state, took down Saddleback 24-10. As we now have second half action here at Monarch Field. Gutierrez is going to come back out there with Samuel. He fakes the handoff to Samuel, and he runs it off to the right side. Pushed out of bounds at the 49-yard line on the Monarch side of the ball. 5-yard gain. Fullerton College currently up 28-21 over El Camino in the third quarter. Pasadena's currently up 28-17 over College of the Desert. That game is 2 minutes remaining at Pasadena City College. This is a quick screen over to Davis on the near side. Richard Graham picks him up and throws him back. But forward progress is going to mark him down at the 47-yard line. Gain of about 2 yards. They haven't made these catches easy for Emmanuel Davis and company, as a lot of low throws from Fish and Gutierrez today. Monarchs are still looking for their first win of the season. Seahawks looking to advance to 3-2 before they start American Metro Conference play. 3rd and 4. Pressure coming, but it's a quick pass over to Amos. He's tackled in the open field by Sean Wilson, but it'll be enough for a first down, 7-yard completion from Gutierrez to Amos. Again, I'm Noah Alvarez. This is a rush to Samuel up the left side, and he darts forward all the way to the 28-yard line. Another first down, 12-yard gain on the play. Did want to thank Nicolas Arevalo for helping today with the broadcast as the camera operator. 1st and 10 from the 28-yard line. That's Nick Arevalo. Again, thank you for helping out with the broadcast. This is Gutierrez over to Davis, and this is just past his outstretched gloves. He actually had 2 hands on it. I'm sure Davis is kicking himself in the foot or in the hands for this one. He had that ball and he had the defender beat. The defender in coverage was Jordan Stevenson on the near side. That's one thing we did see in week 1. Not a lot of speed in the secondary for the Monarchs. They are exposed of getting beat deep on simple vertical pass plays. 2nd down and 10, Gutierrez hands it off to Samuel, left side. And he's met by Jordan Jackson and David Francis Jr. Minimal gain for about 1.5 yards, 3rd and 9. D'Anthony Jackson going to march out to the field, get more of a 3rd down pass rushing package out there. More speed. Prince Inanzala will also jog out there, as well as Vicente Zepeda. So no down linemen. 5 linebackers. Richard Graham on this near side. He's trying to get pressure. He does. He gets in the backfield, but it's dumped off to Samuel. Samuel has blockers in front of him on the screen. There is a flag thrown on the play. 2 referees saw it. Looks like this pass play is going to come back. He did get tackled down at the 12-yard line, but we'll see if with the penalty it holds. That's Richard Graham down on the 45-yard line. Didn't get to see what happened to him at the end of the play. As I mentioned, Richard Graham had the fumble recovery for 26 yards. Towards the end of the 2nd quarter, he's the heart and soul of this defense. It's a holding penalty against LA Harbor, so it should still be 3rd down. Richard Graham's able to walk off under his own power with assistance from the medical staff here at LA Valley College. You hope he's okay, and if you're Lester Towns and company, that's the heart and soul of your defense. You need him back on the field, so hopefully it's something that he can just get taped up and return relatively soon. So 3rd and 16, ball now on the 35-yard line. The Monarch 35, Seahawks looking to capitalize on the 3rd down. Mentioned during the halftime show, there were 6 of 9 on 3rd down conversions in the first half. This one's a bit tougher of a task to pick up. Looks like they're going to bring pressure. They do. 6-man rush. Gutierrez tries to float it out of bounds, and he does. He was facing pressure from Jordan Jackson and David Francis Jr., who got into the backfield rather quickly. 11:38 left to go here in the 3rd quarter. Seahawks still lead 28-27 over the Monarchs. Cardenas back deep to punt for the Seahawks. He's standing at the 50. Little high snap. He's able to handle it. The Monarchs brought a bunch of pressure. Allison waving everybody off. Little extracurricular activity between PJ Trusty and Virgil Tynes, as well as Tepeni Tula Jr. over on the Seahawks side. Allison was waving everybody off, but PJ Trusty tried to push one of the Seahawks gunners into the ball, only upsetting Tula Jr. and led to a little scuffle, but no flags thrown, and that's where the second half possession for the Monarchs will start at the 14-yard line. Heading from left to right, they're in the green uniforms. Isaiah Johnson, the man of the night, playing quarterback for the first time this season. 8 of 16 on the evening thus far. He has 2 touchdowns and 1 touchdown rushing as well. They're going to come out in a little bit of a tricky formation. 4 receivers bunched out to their right. Dupree Fuller Jr. is the lone receiver over here on this near side, and he's bunched in tightly. Quarterback power to this right side. Johnson takes the yards that's given, and there is a penalty thrown away from the ball in the middle of the field, so we'll see who this is on. Looks like it could be on Charles O'Neal, the safety for the Seahawks, but also in the air is Don Harrell, the receiver for the Monarchs. About a 4-yard gain for Isaiah Johnson. We have a pretty good view of Richard Graham. He's getting his ankle taped up here on the sideline, near side from the press box. He's right underneath us. Personal foul on LA Harbor. So that is on O'Neal. And that'll be more yards tacked on after the play. It was a dead ball penalty. Foolish decision there. You never like that as a coach. You want kids to maintain their composure, regardless of who starts it. Usually the referees always catch the second person, the person who retaliates. It's tough, especially if someone pushes you from the side or from the back. You want to retaliate. You want to say something back. You might want to shove back as well, but it cost them penalty-wise. And coming out in that same formation, 4 receivers bunched. Dallas Martin is the point man. Deandre Smith is the one in the back. It's a diamond shape. They're going to throw a screen over to Deandre Smith. He's a speedster. Ball in his hands. He's heading up the near far sideline, and he's tackled down at the 47-yard line. So it's a quick screen. You have 4 receivers over there. Dallas Martin, Andre Lawson, and Quentin Herring all just decided to lead block. Holding penalty. So there's another penalty. 2 back-to-back penalties. And when penalties start coming, it disrupts the flow of the game. So we'll see how this affects both teams. Both teams starting the second half rather sloppy. Seahawks forced to punt on their first possession. Monarchs looking to flip the field. It's 1st and 15, ball on their own 27-yard line. Johnson, empty backfield. Again, they come out in that same formation. Don Harrell, Quentin Herring, Dallas Martin, the point man. Deandre Smith is the man in the backfield of that diamond over on the right side, and it was tipped away. It was tipped away by Zyler Thornton, the defensive end. He recognized the formation, thought they were going to run the same play again, and they did. So he jumps up, gets his hands up in there, makes a nice play in the backfield. 10:39 left to go here in the third. 2nd and 16. 3 receivers out to the right. Monarchs have the ball on their left hash. It's a speed option to the left. Johnson makes the first defender miss. He decides to keep it and cut up the middle for a minimal 1.5 yard gain. Good job by defender Terrence Glaze to take away the pitch man. Johnson does a nice job of faking him out, but then he runs into more defenders in the middle of the field. Mark Cardenas was able to clean up the action. Leading tackler on the Seahawks defense. Seahawks look like they're going to bring pressure. 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, all 3 creeping up towards the line of scrimmage. They're going to motion Smith from the backfield out to the right side. Johnson looking for somebody. He's going to throw it deep. He's trying to hit Fuller. Fuller makes an incredible catch. Did he make that catch? He got inside positioning on cornerback. We'll see if we can get his name and number real quick for you. Brendan Johnson. Fuller Jr. had it in his hands. And with Johnson all over his back, literally on top of his back, Fuller was able to fight him away for possession of the ball. And even as he came down to the ground, looked like Johnson poked the ball away. However, Fuller was able to have his back on the ground. The ball actually never hit the ground. It just landed in his chest again. Here's a motion. Fake the jet sweep. Now they're going to pitch it Deandre Smith to the right side. Smith has some room over there on the near sideline. Nice play design there. get the defense thinking everyone's going to the left with Andre Lawson motioning that way. But then Johnson makes a nice easy pitch to Smith, and Smith with his nice speed picks up a gain of 6. 8:50 left to go here in the third quarter. Johnson and the Monarchs are driving. They trail 28-27. Movement on the left side. That is the left guard, Richard Torres. He actually played center at the beginning of the season. Doing center duties today is Clark Scott. Playing right tackle is Luis Quintero. Right tackle is Jimmy Garcia. Left tackle is Taleem Thompson. It's a little shuffling. Another speed option over to the left side, and Johnson elects to not pitch it. Keeps it for a 2-yard gain.
Quarterback key by Johnson rushes for 2 yards. Brings up 3rd and 8. 3rd and 6.
Edward Wilford, the third, in on the tackle. Third and 6. 8 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Johnson with 3 receivers over to his left. Harrell, the lone receiver, over on the right side. Deandre Smith is in the backfield. They walk up a safety, the Seahawks do. 7-man on the line of scrimmage. They only bring 4. 1 gets through cleanly. Johnson forced to roll out to his left. And he finally gets chased down from behind. Terrence Glaze.
Johnson is sacked by number 25, Terrence Glaze. Brings up 4th down for the Monarchs.
It's 4th down and 14. That's going to force them to punt. William Kalanji is going to march out onto the field. He has 3 punts on the evening. Eric Amos back deep to return. Both teams stall on their first drives of the third quarter. LA Harbor missing some bodies. LA Valley missing some bodies. They run a few players out late. Some miscommunication. I believe there is a delay of game penalty. So sloppy mistakes here from both teams at the beginning of the third quarter. Special teams so important because it can either make some big plays for you or cost you some yards. We'll see depending on the punt. Kalanji is not the team's starting punter. It was actually Ezekiel Savage. TK Drayton also got some punts in this year, but Savage with his injury that's out for the rest of the season. Kalanji thrusted into the punting duties. Gets a nice one off here. It's actually his best one. Almost slides up to the 14-yard line to catch it. No fair catch. And there was a few players, bodies draped in front of him. Someone got pushed right in front of him. I believe that was a Peta, but no penalty called. They actually mark it down right there at the 15. So that's where the Seahawks will begin this offensive possession. A reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. I'm Noah Alvarez. Thank you again to Albert Robles for helping at the beginning of the broadcast. Thank you again to Nick Arevalo for helping with the camera during the latter half of the game. 1st and 10 from the Seahawks 15-yard line. Gutierrez back in pistol formation, strong eye. Samuel's the running back to that right side. And this one is thrown right to TK Drayton. Drayton has his 2nd interception on the evening, and he's going to walk in for 6. He carried a few defenders with him. And the Monarchs have their 2nd defensive touchdown on the evening. That's number 6, TK Drayton. TK Drayton has 2 interceptions returned for a touchdown today. This one looked like just a errant throw. It was a deep comeback route as Gutierrez was rolling right. He looked like he was trying to get the ball to Casey, but did not see underneath coverage from Drayton. He was the corner on that near side. Looked like to be covered 2, and he sunk back deep enough to where all he had to do was jump, and the ball was right in his hands for an easy pick. And then he was able to make a nice run and catch after the interception to go into the end zone. Looks like they're going to go for 2 as well because LA Valley, if you remember, at the last touchdown of their third quarter, they missed their PAT. So they're going to run out trying to get this 2-point attempt. They do not have enough bodies, it looks like. I don't know if Coach Towns wants to burn a timeout. Again, sloppy. Sloppy penalty right there. Delay of game. And Coach Towns is upset with his quarterback. Isaiah Johnson was busy celebrating on the sideline with his team, not realizing that they're going to go for 2, so he has thrown out there. Actually, Dupree Fuller Jr. is going to line up at quarterback. They're going to run out Quinn Herring, so just a little bit all over the place is this Monarchs offense. We'll see if they still decide to go for 2. Fuller fakes like he's going to run up the middle, runs over to the left side, and he's able to get in, but there is 2 flags being thrown. We'll see what they are. One was thrown from the umpire in the back of the end zone. Players need to be separated as there was a little jawing back and forth afterwards. Referees are sorting out what the penalties are going to be. As of now, score is still 33-28, pending this extra point or 2-point conversion attempt. Holding on LA Valley, so march them back a few extra yards. A reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Only so many options you could do. For a 2-point conversion from your own 16-yard line. Let's see, Isaiah Johnson marches back onto the field. Empty backfield. Richard Graham in there on offense. Dallas Martin, Quentin Herring, Dupree Fuller Jr., and Graham Harrell also over on the right side. 5 wide receivers. Johnson going to see pressure from both outsides. He's just going to chuck it up. Can Fuller make the catch? No, this one's intercepted. Interception on the 2-point conversion. That is Jerome Cooper on the interception wearing the pink socks. And so the score remains 33-28 here on SportsNetUSA.net. 6:36 left to go here in the third quarter. Your Monarchs have a 33-28 lead in the third quarter of this one, the 4th game of the season, coming off a bye week. And the week prior, they traveled all the way to College of the Desert. Fell short. 44-21 was the final score on that one. Gave up over 300 yards on the ground, but a much better defensive effort in tonight's game. Looking to build some momentum. They have one more game before American Division play. They have a game next Saturday at Santa Ana College. Game's a lot closer to where I'm from than here in the Valley Glen area of Los Angeles, as Cardenas gets the ball on a squib kick and hurdles a defender. That's the linebacker. The star linebacker for the Seahawks team, and he just straight up hurdled John Moore. He went for his legs. So going back to looking ahead for the Monarchs, they take on Santa Ana College next week. And right after that, the 16th of October, they start American Division Pacific League play against Antelope Valley College. That game will be on the road. Then their next home game will be Santa Barbara City College on October 23rd. So 3 Saturdays from now, we'll be here at Monarchs Stadium to broadcast for that one. As Gutierrez comes in, hands it off to Samuel. Samuel spins off a few defenders, and he gets a tough 2 yards over to the right side. Finally brought down by Jacoby Harvey. LA Harbor coming from the city of Wilmington. both cities in the Los Angeles area. Second down and 8. Gutierrez comes out. 5:57 left to go in the third. 3 receivers over to his left. He's getting pressure from that side. He's going to throw it backside to Casey, and Casey makes the first man miss, but Monarchs gang tackle him up on the 36-yard line.
To number 17, Casey is complete.
So that'll move the chains for the Monarchs, excuse me, the Seahawks. They look to respond after that costly interception return for a touchdown. Kajon Casey, the lone receiver on the far side. Amos and Braff on the near side. This is a speed option pitch play to Samuels. Samuels makes a few defenders miss, crosses fields. Now he's on the right side, and he is thrown down by Jacoby Harvey. But after a big gain of 14 yards, another option play. We've seen Isaiah Johnson run that play a few times. He decides to keep it himself. However, Gutierrez on this time, he decides to draw the defender, pitches it out to Samuel, and Samuel does a nice job to create. Despite there not being a whole lot of room to work with on the left side, he's able to cut across the field and get a good chunk play. Same formation, draw up the middle. And Samuel able to pick up 8 yards, tackled down at the 19-yard line. Very methodical drive here by the Seahawks. Gutierrez has his team firing on all cylinders. Substitution as Dennis Wallace comes in for the Monarchs on defense. And timeout called by head coach Lester Towns. So he needs to talk to his defense before the next play continues. It's 2nd and 2 when we come back. 4:30 left to go as the Monarchs have a 33-28 lead here at Monarchs Stadium. You're listening to LA Valley College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Back here at Monarchs Stadium, 4:30 left to go in the third quarter. Monarchs hanging on to a 33-28 lead. Seahawks are in the red zone threatening. Have a 2nd and 2 coming up. Gutierrez is in the backfield, joined by Samuel and Arce. Amos and Braff are the receivers over on the left side. He's going to throw it backside to Casey. And there's a penalty thrown as Wallace had good positioning on Casey. He boxed out Casey from being able to run down the field, and he also had his head turned. So some would say that was ideal coverage from the defensive back over on the far sideline. Wallace has his hands on his hips. Can't believe that flag is thrown. I'm sure Towns is making his case to the referees as well.
Look, they won't even talk to him either. They can't even explain what he did wrong.
Holding on.
So they're actually going to call a holding penalty. So from our angle, because that's the far sideline, maybe we didn't see the grab, but it wasn't a pass interference, which we had initially thought. He probably grabbed Casey as he was going to break out what looked to be like a fade route. Might have grabbed too much jersey or grabbed his hand. Can't do that. Can't be too grabby as a defensive back. Probably one of the harder positions to play in the current state of football, though, because of all the different rules and penalties that they have. Protecting the quarterback and receivers as Gutierrez. Going to roll to his left. He's going to try and hit Amos in the corner of the end zone and thrown a little too far. He was open. He had a step on Sean Wilson. However, Gutierrez wasn't able to fit that ball in. It'll be 3rd down. Excuse me, 2nd down. Playing defense is a lot more challenging than it has been in the past with all these new rules, but especially secondary, especially all the corners. You're on these islands with some of the best athletes on the football field. You can't touch them. This ball is fumbled. Gutierrez somehow able to pick it up and almost picked it up. Almost got back to the line of scrimmage, but then he fumbled it again. Now the Monarchs are saying they have the ball. We'll see what the referees say, but bad snap. Gutierrez went under center, never had control of it, picked it up, and because everyone was in the backfield, he was able to pick up a yard or two before he got tackled, and the ball did squirt out again. So now they're going to say third down. So no gain on the play, third and goal from the 7-yard line. Joey Gutierrez in the backfield with Ars and Samuel, 2 receivers to his left. Emmanuel Davis, the lone receiver, to the right. Monarchs have 6 men on the line of scrimmage. They send 6, but there is a flag on the play before the ball was even hiked. False start. Another penalty. A lot of penalties here in this third quarter. Again, we want to thank to whoever's listening and wherever you're listening to this delayed broadcast of LA Valley College football here on sportsnetusa.net. I am Noah Alvarez. Thank you again to Nick Aravalo for helping out with camera operations in tonight's game. Here at Monarchs Stadium, it's a beautiful evening for football. Monarchs have a 33-28 lead. Gutierrez, 2 running backs in the backfield alongside him. He tried to roll left. Now he's going to throw it to his right. And there was a receiver in the vicinity, but if you're going to play the eye for an eye card, you would like to see, if you're the Monarchs or if you're a Monarch fan, you like to see a rough, no, actually not a roughing, a intentional grounding penalty being thrown, as there was a similar situation where Isaiah Johnson was rolling. He got the ball away with his left hand, and his ball was about 4 yards away from his receiver, but they called it intentional grounding. This was a similar experience, except for Gutierrez didn't switch hands and throw with his left. He threw it back and was about a good 5-6 yards away from his receiver. This field goal is a low line drive, but he's able to get it across. That's Zuniga with the 3 points for the Seahawks. So that now pushes the score to 33-21. Your Monarchs have a lead on sportsnetusa.net. But just to continue that conversation, you just, as a coach, as a fan, as a player, you want to see penalties be called evenly on each side. If this is going to be an intentional grounding on my side, can you call an intentional grounding when the opposite quarterback does the very exact same thing or is put in a similar situation? He was rolling to his left, looked back to his right, threw into no man's land, and like I said, there was a receiver about 5 yards away from the ball, but it just did not look like it was going to be even catchable. So regardless, would have been a penalty and a loss of downs. It made him a harder field goal, and as you saw, Zuniga struggled to get that one by. Low line drive. Back deep to return is Coxum, but there's a diamond of players back there. We'll see if they do anything tricky. Again, here at Monarchs Stadium, 2:53 left to go in the third quarter. This ball is kicked short over to the right side. Trying to do tricky stuff. Jelani Ellison crosses field over to the right. He's looking to throw it back to somebody. I don't know what he was looking for at that point. Nice kick there by Zuniga. It looked like the LA Valley had a diamond set up in the backfield of the kick return. They had 4 speedsters out there. Coxum was a deep man, and Seahawks must have seen it. They said, hey, let's just pooch it short to the right. Let's prevent anything that they were trying to have on. And it looked like as he was returning it, Ellison wanted to look back to the left side and see if he could throw it back. Maybe that was the intentional play call, but obviously not being a perfect deep kick kind of ruined and spoiled their plans. Regardless, still solid offensive field position. Ball at the 25-yard line. 2:43 left to go. Johnson in the backfield with Deandre Smith. They're going to toss it over to the left. Smith weaving through some bodies. Gets to the 27-yard line.
Toss to Deandre Smith. Scrambles for about 1 yard. Brings up 2nd and 9.
Smith, the sophomore from Highland High School, had 2 touchdowns entering the evening. The big play threat here on this Monarch offense, Lester Towns wants to get him the ball as much as he can. We've seen him line up a receiver. We've seen him throw the ball, and we've seen him catch plenty of balls as well. 8 receptions on the season. Johnson in the backfield with him again. He's going to fake the handoff. Now roll out to his right. Johnson has some speed, beats the edge defender, makes another defender miss. Johnson is having his way with the Seahawks defense. And if the Seahawks knew he was a linebacker playing quarterback, they'd be very upset at themselves for letting him break contain so many times, making big plays and making defenders look foolish out there in the open field. Initial pressure was from John Foster playing defensive end. He got good penetration, was just able to outrun him. And then Terrence Glaze had a good opportunity to make a tackle in the open field once he broke the line of scrimmage. He made a simple juke move inside, picked up 6 yards on the carry. 3rd and 2. Blitz coming. Pressure up the middle. Deandre Smith tries to make the first. He does make the first man miss, but there it is. That's Glaze making the tackle. Loss of about 2 yards. 4th and 5. 1:29 left to go. When you're backed up into your own territory like this, looks like Coach Towns is going to bring out his punting unit. He's upset at his offense for the effort and the penetration that was forced by the defense of the Seahawks. Again, bodies missing. 5 seconds left on the play clock. We'll see if they could get this out. Another delay of game penalty. So special teams beneficiating the Monarchs when they're on the return side of things, but when they're on kickoff or punt, there's just been some miscommunication about who should be on the field. That's where you would like one of your assistant coaches maybe to have a clipboard, have a list of names, have the exact formation of who should be where, calling them out, having them ready on a 3rd down situation, regardless of the down and distance for that 3rd down. This ball bounces at the 46 and goes backwards all the way to about midfield, so that's where the Seahawks will start this position. A reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. The Monarchs have a 33-28 lead over the Seahawks with 46 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter. It's been a relatively quiet 3rd quarter after a very high-flying and offensive first half. Both teams' defenses are locking in. Strong eye formation. Toss over to Samuel, left side. He has the edge. He breaks a few arm tackles, and he's finally brought out of bounds at the 41-yard line. P.J. Trusty on the tackle. Vernon Tucker having a little chat with his coach, Lester Towns. Lester Towns not only played in the NFL, but he's been around some great teams, been around some great programs. He was a part of the Carolina Panthers Super Bowl team that lost to the Patriots, but he was a member of that organization. He was also a member of the University of Alabama coaching staff and got to coach alongside Nick Saban as well. He played for the Carolina Panthers, played for the Miami Dolphins. This is a handoff to Samuel on the right side. He continues to move as he is facing contact. He has definitely done a lot better job at bullying his way through these Monarch defenders here in the second half.
For about 15 yards.
He gets all the way down to the 26-yard line, and that'll be enough for a first down.
Marks the ball down to the 26-yard line. First down.
But if you're a JUCO athlete in the area, or excuse me, if you're a high school athlete in the area and you're looking to play at the next level, LA Valley College is an ideal situation for you with Coach Lester Towns' pedigree. As I mentioned, not only played in the NFL, but he's been around some great programs at the college and the NFL level. This is his second season coaching at LA Valley College, a program that has had some up and down seasons. In 2016, they did win the American Division Championship. That was with Coach Robert Tucker, who's now at Pasadena City College. Both Ryan and Osborne and I were at that game, what was that now, 3 weekends ago. That was a fun, high-scoring game where Pasadena City did come out on top, but a few negative seasons in between. 2018, they went 7-3, 5-1 in American Metro Conference play. 2017, they went 4-6, and 2016, was the magical year where Robert Tucker led the team to 11-0, 5-0 conference play, and a 24-16 victory over Southwestern in the American Division Championship. They averaged 41 points per game that year, and Coach Lester Towns is looking to bring this team back to the promised land, but he has an uphill battle this year. A bunch of young players on his team, a lot of international players, a few players from Canada. This one is also handed up to Samuel. Samuel taken down after a gain of about 2. PJ Trusty, as well as DeAnthony Jackson in on the stop. We're starting to see the Seahawks gain a little bit more yards each time they hand the ball off. So props to them for sticking for the run, despite only having 32 rushing yards at the half. You want to wear down this smaller Monarch defense, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast. Not a lot of D linemen on this roster. They use a series of linebackers and DBs, trying to create pressure with their speed, athleticism. This ball is thrown out to Amos.
Pass to Amos is complete. Gain of 5 on the play.
Ball's now at the 19-yard line. 3rd and 3.
3rd and 4.
14-10 left to go in the fourth quarter now. Seahawks trailing 31-33. However, they're in the red zone. I formation. Pressure up from the left side. It's an end around to Amos. Amos. Initial man in the backfield was Vernon Tucker, and Richard Graham's able to clean him up. But that was nice contain. It was a fake dive to the right. A lot of the defense went over there, but Vernon Tucker stayed home for that backside. Loss of about a 1. So it should be 4th and 4. Offense looks like they're staying out there. Gutierrez getting the play call from the sideline. Head coach Dean Dowdy has coached offense and has been an offensive coordinator for many different teams in the American Conference, as well as the community college area. Most recently, College of the Desert, before ending up here at LA Harbor. 4th and 4. Gutierrez looks right. Pressure up the middle. PJ Trusty spins him and winds him down. Jordan Jackson was also there in on the pressure, as was Richard Graham. So another big defensive stop there for LA Valley, and they are hanging on to a 33-31 lead. That's a turnover on downs, and they will start this drive at their own 29-yard line. So fourth quarter, the LA Valley Monarchs have a lead in the fourth quarter, something that hasn't happened all season. It's been a wacky season for them thus far, coming off the heels of even a wackier year in which there was no football played in the fall. A lot of turnover. Lester Towns doing the best with what he is given to work with. Johnson running the option play. Thought about pitching it and decides to keep it as there was defenders both on him and on the running back, his pitch man, Deandre Smith. It's a loss of 2 yards. That's where you tell your quarterback just live to fight another day. If he pitches it to Deandre Smith and it's not a clean pitch, or if he gets hit as soon as he catches the pitch, it could be a costly turnover, a costly play for the Monarchs. So he decides just to eat the 2 yards, keeps the clock moving, 12:30 left to go. 3 receivers over to his right, 2 bunched near the line of scrimmage. This is a deep pass. That is Jelani Ellison, and Jelani Ellison almost makes a circus catch. Ellison stands at 5'10", but he went up the ladder for that one too, and it was a nice play by defender Brandon Johnson to stick with him. (12:19), clock is stopped. 3rd and 12. Johnson and Smith in the backfield. Ellison, the lone receiver on the near side, trips bunch to the right. Johnson rolling out that way. He's looking down the field. He's going to chuck it up again for his receiver. That's Dallas Martin, who tries to make a one-handed catch, but he falls out of bounds. All he could do is tip the ball away. That'll stop the clock once again. 4th and 12, the punt unit's going to come back onto the field. So after a big defensive stop, a backwards play and 2 incompletes is how that drive ends for the Monarchs. Not what you want to see there. We'd like to chew some more time off the clock, or at least get a first down, force the Seahawks back into worse field position. Eric Amos standing at his own 40-yard line. Kalanji gets the bad snap. It was a 2-hopper. This is a low spiraling line drive, and it takes a nice Monarch bounce to the 43-yard line. That could have been a lot worse. Kalanji had to ground that on a 2-hop. So the Monarch offense stalls out after forcing a turnover on downs on their previous defensive possession. We'll see what they could do on this one. The Seahawks start this drive with the ball at their 43-yard line. 12:02 left to go here in the 4th. You're listening to Monarch Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Gutierrez in the backfield with Arce and Samuel. Casey, Braff, and Davis, the 3 receivers on the field with him. He's looking to his left. That's where Davis is. And Davis can only get a hand on it. This pass was thrown too high. It bounced off Sean Wilson's shoulder pads. He thought he should have had that interception. He's jumping at himself. Amos now going to come into the game. Single back. Gutierrez and Samuel, the 2 members of the backfield. They're going to roll to the right. It's a pitch, speed option play. And this pitch was slightly behind him. This is where we talked about with Isaiah Johnson on the previous offensive possession from the Monarchs. He decided to eat that one, didn't like what he saw there from the defense, and he took a 2-yard loss. Gutierrez tried to force the issue, but it was a bad pitch, and it forced Samuel to fall down. If he doesn't catch that, that's not an incomplete pass, too. That's a play that's up for grabs, as there's a few substitutions made by the Monarchs on defense. TK Drayen and Sean Wilson back deep as the 2 high safeties. Jacoby Harvey in the middle playing linebacker. Richard Graham is another player you should know. He's near the right hash. Probably going to rush from that right side. 4-man rush. The pressure does get to them, but Gutierrez gets out of it, and it's a nice play. Interception? Ball hit the ground. Regardless, that was a nice play by Gutierrez to avoid the sack. He was facing pressure from D'Anthony Jackson and Richard Graham. Jackson came from that left defensive end position, Gutierrez somehow escaped it, and as the player was tackling him, he was able to get that throw off to Amos. And it was Vicente Cepeda, the man in coverage, with the bright yellow gloves. He was excited. He got a big paw on the ball, swatted it down. He thought he had the interception. .10:54 is the time remaining here in the fourth quarter. Dante Coxum checks into the game, back deep to return. Low snap. Cardenas evades the rush. Smart heads-up play there. This ball is going to roll all the way to the 24-yard line. So it takes a very friendly Seahawk play. Back-to-back punts we've seen where both long snappers didn't get their best snaps in. And Cardenas did a nice job of avoiding the pass rush that came up the middle, stepped to his left a few steps, and was able to get that punt off. It hit to the side of his foot, and it looked like it was going to go out of bounds right at the 40, but then it took a very friendly Seahawk roll all the way down to the 24-yard line. 10:41 left to go. The last time the Monarchs were out here, they stalled, 3 and out. They went backwards and then had 2 incomplete passes, so we'll see if they can chalk up some positive plays, as well as eat some more time off the clock. Isaiah Johnson's in the backfield with Smith and Fuller Jr. He's going to hand it off to Smith with Fuller lead blocking over on that left side, utilizing the receivers they have. Fuller Jr. active hands today, has 4 receptions on the afternoon. Or evening, as the lights are shining bright here at Monarchs Stadium. There's a player down on the field, number 3, Jerome Cooper. He made an interception on the 2-point conversion attempted earlier in the second half. So there'll be a timeout while the training staff attends to him. A reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. I'm Noah Alvarez. Big thank you to Albert Robles, who helped with the beginning of the broadcast, as well as Nick Arivalo for helping out with the latter half of the broadcast, both working camera operator. It takes a village. While you hear my voice, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are helping out as well. Thank you again to the friendly LA Valley College staff, too, for helping me get statistics at halftime and for accommodating to our many different needs to broadcast tonight's game. Regardless of when or where you're listening to this, we hope you're enjoying the broadcast of LA Valley College football. Second down and 7. Ball on the Monarch 28-yard line. (33-31) is the score. Fourth quarter. Monarchs looking to hang on to this lead, chew off some more clock. Same backfield featuring Smith and Fuller Jr. This time they're going to hand it off to Fuller. Fuller runs it for about 7 to 8 yards, and they're going to give him the first down. Smith was the lead blocker on that side. They basically just said, we're going to run the same play, but flip it to Fuller instead. Some scores that went final. College of the Canyons defeated Riverside City College 41-24. We'll see if that bumps up College of the Canyons further up the rankings in the CCCIS-SIA. Ventura defeated Saddleback 31-17. Both Ventura and College of the Canyons top 5 teams in the latest rankings looking to make some noise, as this is a quarterback keep. Faked it to his running back over to the left, and Johnson muscles his way up for about a 1-yard gain. And if you're the Monarchs, you want to get plays like this, but you also want to not get too comfortable, not get too vanilla on offense. You want to take some chances, but at the same time, you do want to chew up as much clock as you can, as Johnson and company get the play calls from the sideline. El Camino went up on Fullerton 35-28. That game has 5.5 minutes left in their game. Fuller motions. Johnson pitches it out to Smith on the left side, and he's tackled down by Damari Harvey. Referee on the far sideline saying offside. Someone might have been lined up in the neutral zone, so that should help the Monarchs. It'll be 2nd down and 4 after the penalty, and they get a fresh new downs. Not fresh new downs, but they get a redo 2nd downs. Santa Barbara currently up 16-6 over Glendale College. That game's 12 minutes left to go in the 4th quarter. Orange Coast tied up at 0 apiece with Moore Park. That's the other game that's going on currently, as every other game in the CCCAA has gone final. Second and 4. Johnson with Smith and Fuller in the backfield. They're going to hand it off to Fuller, and this time he's tripped up in the backfield. Another nice play by Foster. He's been active, very active in today's game. He entered today's game with 13 tackles. He's been causing pressure on passing down situations, making tackles for a loss in the backfield like you just saw there. It's now 3rd and 5, 7:50 left to go. The clock is ticking, though. If you're the Monarchs, you want to pick up at least one more first down, get closer to the midfield, and make things really tough on this Seahawks team. Same formation, Fuller and Smith in the backfield. They're going to hand it off to Smith over on the sweep. He's going to try and reverse fields. He stumbles back. He loses about 6 yards to the original line of scrimmage over at the 35. That was a play doomed from the very beginning. So instead of going forward, they go backwards. Smith probably hearing an earful from his offensive coordinator. He did stay in bounds, but reversing field in a situation like that could be proven costly. So instead of punting from the 45 or so, they're punting now from the 36. Kalanji standing at his own 22. Good snap on this one. Penalty, and this was one of his booming punts, so unfortunately the flag is going to negate one of his best punts of the evening. False start on LA Valley. So now the ball's backed up to their 31-yard line. Kalanji standing at his own 15. Another good punt. Almost takes it at the 30-yard line. He's tripped up. Makes the first defender miss, but Tucker is able to bring him down at the 34-yard line. 6:36 left to go in the game. Both teams, Monarchs have 2 timeouts left. Seahawks have all 3. Ball near the left hash. Fish is going to come back into the game. Samuel, the deep back, with Hogan, the fullback, in between him and Fish. I formation. Simple dive play, and this one, ball's on the ground. Does Fish have it, or does the Monarch defender have it? And it is a Monarch defender that comes out on top. That is Richard Graham. 2 fumble recoveries on the evening, and he has a little celebration. Dribbling between his legs. That's really difficult to do with the football. And as I mentioned, Richard Graham, the heart and soul of this defense, making play after play for this LA Valley D. He is getting chewed out by Coach Lester Towns for celebrating. He almost got hit with the penalty. I think Coach Towns is pleased that he didn't. But now here, if you're the Monarchs, Yes, you do want to chew up some time, but now with this good a field position, you want to take some chances towards the end zone. Get closer. Maybe lull the defenses to sleep since you've been running nothing but handoffs. Maybe try and go for a little play action. Huge defensive stop. We've seen them now force 5 turnovers in tonight's game. 2 interceptions, 3 fumbles, 1 interception return for a touchdown. Johnson takes the snap. This one's thrown to Lewis. Lewis does a nice job of coming back for the ball, and he's tackled down at the 8-yard line. Just as we called it, folks, they take a shot down the field. Lewis has been great at that. Johnson, you could say he's underthrowing these receivers, but he's also making these receivers work back for the ball, and it's a lot harder for the defensive back to see that. The receiver has the advantage. The DB flies past him into the end zone. And that's going to be a 1st and goal opportunity now. 6:10 left to go in the 4th. Hudson comes into the game in the backfield with Dupree Fuller Jr. He hands it off to Fuller, and I think there was some confusion. I think Hudson went to go get the ball, and they both bumped into each other. Loss of about 3. Play made in the backfield by Brandon Johnson. He's been all over the field today. Another key defensive player, along with Cardenas. Ball now at the Seahawk 11-yard line, 2nd and goal. Same formation. Hudson's now going to motion from the backfield over to the right side. Johnson sees some pressure right away. He throws this one out of bounds for Fuller, who is trying to get to the corner of the end zone. Johnson smartly just throws this one out of bounds, but the clock does stop. 5:15 left to go. The Seahawks trailing 31-33. Graham Harrell going to jog out of the field. Jelani Ellison going to come in and replace him. Hudson and Fuller in the backfield. Dallas Martin in the slot. Daquan Paul, the lone receiver on the right side. Fuller Jr. takes the handoff up to the right side, and he maybe gets back to the 6-yard line, the original line of scrimmage. 3rd and goal from the 6 coming up for the Monarchs. This might be 4-down territory depending on what you get here in this play. I think this is 4-down territory, so for 3rd down, you want to at least get it. You don't need to get into the end zone, but if you can get 2-3 yards, that'll make a very much more manageable 4th down situation. 4:40 left to go. A field goal would only make this a 6-point game. Oh, excuse me, this is 4th down. So they are going to run the field goal unit out, and they are going to call a delay of game. No, timeout. Timeout called by LA Valley, so it did take a while to get the field goal unit out. That was 3rd down on the previous play. It's now 4th down. 4th down and 6. They're going to go for the field goal. Kicking the field goal would only make this a 6-point game. Excuse me, 5-point game, as the Monarchs are currently up 33-31. 4:28 left to go here in the 4th quarter of action. A reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Of course, thank you again to Albert Robles for helping with the broadcast at the beginning of the game. Thank you again to Nick Ravelo for manning the camera up atop the press box for the 2nd half of the game. Thank you again to everyone at LA Valley College for accommodating to our broadcast needs and making tonight possible. We hope you're enjoying tonight's broadcast of LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. Guillermo Collin going to march out to the field for this field goal attempt. The ball is on the middle of the field. The holder is placed at the 14-yard line. So let's say this is a 24-yard field goal. High snap. Collin hits this one, and it was not a pretty kick, folks, but it goes through. So now they have a 5-point lead. A field goal will not be enough for the Seahawks. And the past few possessions have been very ugly. So Coach Towns and company playing the odds. They're liking their chances. (36-31) is the score. 4:22 left to go in the fourth quarter of action here at Monarchs Stadium. The lights are on. The temperatures have cooled off. There's fans back in the stadium. This is a very exciting game to be a part of for the fans in attendance, for the people watching at home too, whether it's, even if it is a delay or not. Hopefully you're enjoying the flow of this game just as much as we are here in the stands and in the press box. Be interested to see who comes out and plays quarterback for the Seahawks on this next possession. Javin Fish came out after playing much of the first and second quarter, but he took a back seat to Joey Gutierrez, who played at the tail end of the second and then much of the third. I don't know if Joey Gutierrez went down with an injury, but we saw Javin Fish. The offense fumbled on that first play on that last drive. Collins' kick is not very deep, received at the 25. Almost runs into his own guy. This now is near the sideline, and he's finally pushed out of bounds at the 37-yard line. So here it is, 4:15 left to go, and if the Monarchs can force a 3 and out, that'll put their chances at winning this game that much higher, and that'll be their first win of the 2021 season after all the adversity they faced this year. Losing 3 quarterbacks, forced to start a linebacker at quarterback tonight, and all the different battles they faced internally and externally. This would be a huge win for Coach Towns and company in the early season. Javin Fish is going to come out. 2 receivers to each side. Samuel in the backfield alongside of him. Monarchs rush 4. Fish looks to his right. He's looking to throw deep. Overside, and he almost throws an interception. Jelani Ellison. Ellison not only returns kicks, he not only plays offense and receiver, but he could play some DB too. Typically, you don't see players playing both sides of the ball at the collegiate level, but Ellison is that good. Also in coverage was TK Drayton. They're going a too high safety look. I believe it's playing man underneath. Almost a costly throw for Fish. Here's a handoff to Samuel up the right side. And guess what? It's the Monarch defense again, holding him to a minimal gain. Jordan Jackson was the first one there. He now has 8 tackles on the evening. The freshman from Reseda High School. 7 players on this roster from Reseda High School. 3rd and 9. The Monarchs can somehow manage to get off the field after this play, that'll be huge going forward for their chances of winning this ball game. Fish going to roll out to his left. He faces pressure. He makes a man miss, but he can't make Jackson miss. After making a tackle right there on the previous play, Jackson comes up clutch with the sack. 4th and about 10 and a half. If you're the Seahawks, you have to go for it. This is 4th down territory. You do have all 3 timeouts left, but you have not had that much success stopping the Monarchs as of late. But they are going to punt the ball. Coach Dowdy, likes his chances of his defense stopping the ball. Zepeda and Ellison are going to go back deep to receive. Back deep to return, or punt, is Cardenas. Little pressure, but he's able to get a nice high arcing punt. Ellison calls fair catch, and there's a flag thrown. Tack on a penalty, as that was Edward Williford II, who bumped into Ellison as he was making the fair catch. 2:36 left to go. If the Monarchs can get 1 first down, you can pretty much chalk this game up as a win. But first things first, they got to march back out there. 1st and 10 from their own 33-yard line. I believe they're going to march still for the penalty. Yes, they are. So 10 yards. No, 15. No. 47-yard line. So even if you go 3 and out, you are in good position to still make this a very long drive for the Seahawks if they do get the ball back. That's if. Like I said, all you need to do is pick up 1 first down. If I'm the Monarchs, why not go for broke here? Everyone on the Seahawks D probably thinking short run, short pass, something conservative. And there is a false start penalty on Cameron Lewis. He knew it as soon as it was called. Just off balance. LA Valley looking to pick up their first win on the season. Johnson in the backfield. Fuller. He fakes the handoff to Fuller, and Johnson keeps it himself. Minimal gain, 1 yard, but it moves all the way up to the 43-yard line now. And a timeout immediately called by the Seahawks. As I mentioned before the possession started, they have all 3 timeout left. So their goal, especially after this penalty, force them to punt, force a 4th down. If you're the Monarchs, why not go for a big play? We've seen run, we've seen conservative run, but we know Johnson has an arm. Maybe it doesn't have to be a shot 20 yards down the field, but maybe you fake the play action, try and get a tight end or slot receiver loose out into the flats for a maybe 5 to 6 yard gain. And maybe, just maybe, he might break one, especially if it's one of your premier athletes in Smith, Coxum, Fuller Jr. Samuels, excuse me. Big possessions coming up here for the Monarchs and the Seahawks. Monarchs looking to advance to 1-3 on the season, looking to pick up their first dub of the year. Seahawks looking to win as well, 2-2 coming into the game. They'd be 3-2 if they were to win. 2nd down and 14. Seahawks look like they're going to send pressure. They're going to motion Hudson from the backfield to the right side. Hands it off to Fuller, and it's just up the middle for a loss of 1. Seahawks immediately call timeout. Another conservative play call, making the fans a little restless here at Monarchs Stadium. 2:23 left to go after that second timeout called by LA Harbor. A reminder, you're listening to LA Valley College Football here on SportsNetUSA.net. I'm Noah Alvarez. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Some final scores that were still going on around the CCCAA. Fullerton falls to El Camino by a score of 35-28. Santa Barbara not quite done yet, but they have a 17-6 lead over Glendale. 11 minutes left to go in the 4th quarter on that one. And Orange Coast up 3-0 over Moore Park in the 4th quarter. Yes, that's the 4th quarter score. 4:50 remaining to go, and Orange Coast could win by a final score of 3-0. Key 3rd down for the Monarchs. 3rd and 15. Seahawks need a stop. Now in 3rd and 15, it's probably too late to take a risk down the field, but you do want to do something other than just a regular handoff, what you have been doing the past handful of plays. They're going to go back to that quad formation, no, trips formation. There it is. So they're going back to that quad formation. Harrell's the point man. Deandre Smith, no, Fuller is the back man. They have Andre Lawson as a tight end on the near side. Isaiah Johnson's by himself in the backfield. He's going to throw it deep. He's trying to get to Lewis. No, excuse me. He's trying to get to Dallas Martin, and that's going to fall incomplete. Dangerous pass play. I was all for taking a shot down the field, but that's not what I had in mind. Empty backfield, no one in the backfield to help with the protection on the blitz. Seahawks send 7, and Johnson's forced to get rid of it rather quickly, but made a dangerous throw over the middle as he was rolling out to his right. So 4th and 15, and the Seahawks get to keep one more timeout. 2:15 left to go. Because they went backwards on the penalty, Kalanji standing at his 25. Back to deep return is Amos. He's standing at the 25. And this is a low squib kick. And just what you didn't want to happen if you're the Monarchs. There was pressure coming in on Kalanji. Cardenas moving up slow, but he was the man to get pressure. It backed. It was a bad kick that bounced, actually, before it hit P.J. Trusty. And the ball falls down at the 47-yard line of the Seahawks. So that's where they're going to start this drive. 2:07 left to go. 2:07 left to go. 1 timeout left in this game. Javin Fish back into play. Samuel. They're actually going to scoot this ball up to the 50, so not the 47. Give him 3 extra yards on this one. That's where the ball was initially down or hit the back of P.J. Trusty. Monarchs going to go 2 safeties deep. Sean Wilson. They have a lot of linebackers dancing at the line of scrimmage. They're going to go with the run play, trying to see if they can get a few extra yards, but no. Samuel is stopped. Samuel comes up hobbling. Couple substitutions get made as Jackson jogs off to the field. They're trying to get more speed. Ellison enters the game at corner on the near side. Fish, 2nd down and 10. 2 receivers to each side. Do they have a big play in them? Quick slant pass, and Casey drops it. He was wide open. There was no one within 10 yards of him. Casey, who caught the first touchdown on the evening, drops probably the most important play or the most important pass for the Seahawks in tonight's game. 3rd and 10. Jackson's going to come back in. Collins going to come out. Two safeties back for the Monarchs. 2 receivers to each side of Fish. Casey and Braff on this side, near side. Davis and Amos on the far sideline. Fish going to rifle it over to Casey, and this one's too high for his intended receiver. Clock will stop. 4th and 10. Ball at midfield. Can the Monarchs, or do the Monarchs, have one more stop in them? The sideline getting hyped over here on the Monarch side. Fans in attendance standing up on their feet in anticipation for this last play. What could be the last play for the Seahawks offense. 2 receivers each side. Fish with Samuels in the backfield. Fish going to throw out to the right side. Casey has the ball in his hands, and he drops it. He drops it. Casey looking to the sideline, I don't know what he's looking for. He was hoping that a penalty flag would be thrown, but Casey, the #1 receiver, you would say, the leading receiver coming into tonight's game, drops 2 important passes on that last drive, and that's going to be a hard one to recover from if you're Jawan Casey. So the Monarchs get the ball back. Minute 26 left to go. Only 1 timeout left for the Seahawks. And this game should all but be over, folks. Who would have thought? Isaiah Johnson, 4th-string quarterback, excuse me. Comes in for the starter in tonight's ball game. Hadn't played quarterback in over 4 years. Last was for Crenshaw High School in 2017. Was playing linebacker for the team this year, and he comes up clutch time and time again today with some big throws to Cameron Lewis, to Pre-Fuller Jr., made some smart decisions. And I think most importantly, Coach Towns and him coaching staff has to be pleased with the lack of turnovers that he had at the quarterback position. Second down and 11. I believe 2 more kneels or 1 more kneel should be fine. No, 2 more kneels. I believe it's a 40-second play clock. But that'll do it for tonight's game, folks. The Monarchs pick up their first win on the 2021 season. Coach Towns in his second year looking to rebuild this program. Battled through some adversity. This is their 4th-string quarterback, as I mentioned. Isaiah Johnson played linebacker in their first 3 games. They had a bye week to prepare for this game, but they had a brutal loss to College of the Desert in which they gave up 300 yards on the ground. Their defense came and responded. They forced 5 turnovers, 3 fumbles, and 2 interceptions, one of them being returned for a touchdown. And Isaiah Johnson, the 4th player to play quarterback for the team this season, comes up big for the Monarchs over LA Harbor as they defeat them by a final score of 36-31. So the Monarchs move to 1-3 on the season. Thank you again to Nick Aravalo for helping out with the camera operations in tonight's game. They move to 1-3 and they take on Santa Ana College next Saturday. And LA Harbor falls to 2-3 as they look to begin American Metro Conference play next week. Again, thank you again for tuning in to LA Valley College football here on SportsNetUSA.net. I'm Noah Alvarez. Thank you again to Albert Robles for helping out with the beginning of the broadcast and taking care of some technical difficulties. Thank you again to Nick Aravalo for helping with camera operations. And thank you again to everyone here at LA Valley College and the athletic department for helping us with anything we needed, providing water, providing snacks, and providing the tools and resources in order to broadcast tonight's game. Thank you again to you, the listener, for tuning in tonight's game. Be prepared for more community college football next Saturday on SportsNetUSA.net. And the next time you'll hear my voice calling LA Valley College football will be October 23rd as they take on Santa Barbara City College. It'll be their 2nd game of American Pacific Conference play. But again, congratulations to Lester Towns and the LA Valley College Monarchs for picking up their first win of the 2021 season. Congratulations to Isaiah Johnson for competing, and not only competing, but providing his team an opportunity to win in his first game at quarterback in over 4 years. And congratulations to everyone in attendance for tonight's game between LA Valley and LA Harbor. Again, I'm Noah Alvarez. You have been tuned in to SportsNetUSA.net. Thank you again, and have a good night.